correctly. It's up to the players once they hit the ground.
Well, there was a lot of talk about who might not play for the Bombers. We believe they're all out there, don't we?
Yeah, an unchanged lineup, so that's good news for Bombers fans to see all their stars out there, and hopefully no injury question marks hanging over their heads.
Lloyd had some thumb problems. Hurts played 2 matches in 7 weeks. Wallace hasn't played since round 16. Hardwick missed last week with an ankle. They've had some problems, and
they're doing their best.
John Blakey plays his 22nd finals match. I know that Mickey Martin and Wayne Carey have played, or Wayne Carey particularly, every finals match that Dennis Pagan's been involved in. I think Johnny Blakey might as well. There's only 4 players between the 2 teams that have not played in a finals match before.
Line here against Barnes.
Actions speak louder than words.
They're at each other now. And McKernan gets the first tap. Mercedes taps it down. Nobody's been able to take possession early. And the scene will be set, and the Kangaroos crunch in hard. Well, you would think they're going to give everything early, the Kangaroos, to try and unsettle this team that took them to the cleaners in round 13 here and led 7-5 to nothing at quarter time and 10-13 to 3-1 at half time. Bell. Harvey lets loose, hooks it, and they have scored, and that's something they did not do in round 13 in the opening term. They're on the board.
Yes, well, they're probably a little bit stiff there. Brent Harvey gathering the ball and not able to squeeze the right foot kick away with any sort of accuracy, but the score is there, a behind to the Kangaroos. To kick in, Dustin Fletcher for the Bombers, goes to the far side in front of the Great Southern Stand. Beautiful long kick. Barnes couldn't take the mark. Spillage works out wide. Mercedes, Bell, the tackle not bad. Ramanauskas there for the Bombers. And the umpire, I feel, will give the all clear for a boundary throw-in. Peter Bell looking a little bemused, but it looked all pretty fair. Maybe the right arm of Joe Mercedes early may have slipped up over the shoulder, but boundary throw-in. King bursting towards goal. What a kick! David King, the first goal of the game. Terrific start for the Kangaroos. Didn't quite see what happened from the boundary throw-in, Jason, but they did get a good clearance, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a beautiful tap, and he just backed himself. I mean, King just, he was on the run. He knew he had the pace after the hit forward from McKernan came from the throw-in. And look at the emotion. He is really trying to lift the boys up, and they ran from everywhere to congratulate him after that great opening. A bit going on behind play. Dean Solomon wasn't too happy with a couple of the Kangaroos players, so plenty of needle.
Simpson's gone to Hurd. McKernan's been important in the first couple of touches. He's been able to get over Barnes. It was a great tap down. So it's 1-1 to no score. The Kangaroos lead by 7 points. Carousella's handball misses the mark. Courageous play there by Wellman, taken off him by Motlop. There are good signs here for the Kangaroos. King out wide. Abraham leaves it for Harvey. Well, it's the start the match needed, wasn't it, for the Kangaroos to get a little jump. Harvey's kick. There are Bombers everywhere, but Wallace misses. Fletcher mops up. Belts towards the boundary line and finds it at half-back.
Well, there's no doubt, boys, the significant thing in the game so far has been Corey McKernan. It's been a smart move for Dennis Pagan to put him straight into the ruck, straight into the action.
No doubt Aussie. Barnes, McKernan. Carousella comes in from the front to Heffernan, to Smokin' Joe.
Mercedes' kick is a bit of a floater up towards the half-forward area. Free kick was there, picked out, yes, and it will go to Matthew Capuano. He goes into the middle. Good pinpointing, delivery excellent. Mark taken by Clayton. Clayton plays on quickly and gets good distance across his left shoulder towards half-forward, but a terrific mark. Standing his ground, Dean Solomon to Fletcher. To Hardwick. Hardwick's kick was a bit of a floater again, so the kick's not quite going through the air the way the players are desiring of, but the mark is taken here by Heffernan, looking to give the hand pass over the top. Having to wait a little bit was Johnson. Johnson's kick towards the half-forward area, taken by Martin. Kick was from Jason Johnson, of course. Martin to defend. Gets it past the wing. Gee, has started. The body language is terrific for Corey McKernan. He's kicked towards full forward. Punched away by Fletcher at the fall of the ball. Took a little too long, Clayton. Taken away for the Bombers by Ramanauskas. The race is on now. Blumfield and Archer, the ball bouncing away from those players over for a boundary throw-in.
You mentioned the body language with Corey McKernan. I noticed as soon as he ran through the banner before that first siren, he was ready to go, boys.
He certainly wasted opportunity there. Could have handballed to King. Didn't know how hot he was. Shane Clayton.
It's Capuano and Barnes. And they've gone in tall, the Kangaroos, with Burton as well. Carousella's handball. Bell just able to chop it off. Well done to Motlop. A couple of possessions for him. Kick to centre half forward. Carey dropped it at full pace. Hardwick, Wallace down low. Missed him, McKernan. Wallace gets clear. Left-hand handball. It cuts a path, and Hardwick's on the end of it from Carousella. Beautiful kick to Hurd. Got him.
Wallace was terrific in setting that play up.
And it's interesting to see the way the Bombers have structured their forward line. Matty Lloyd's been dragging Mick Martin up the ground. He's virtually starting at centre half forward. And James Hurd with Simpson on him is coming out of the square.
And Hurd goes for goal and kicks it. So the Bombers captain gets there first after the Kangaroos captain spilled a tough mark. And Mark Johnson might be in trouble here, I think.
He's holding his arm. He may have a problem with the wrist or the arm there. That's going to be a worry very early in the match. Paul Barnard coming on to replace him.
Gee, Wallace was sensational there. We see Lloyd spilling the mark, gathered there by Hardwick, and eventually Wallace was terrific.
Mark Johnson injured here, so Aussie will keep an eye on that. He looked to have hurt his forearm perhaps, but keep an eye on that.
Kangaroos by a point. Goal coming from David King for the Kangaroos, by James Hurd for the Bombers. Kick forward by Wellman towards half forward. Big leap and mark from the back by Capuano.
You're not wrong with that.
Sorry, Rich,
Boyd.
go Rich.
It does look like his left forearm. The doctors and physios are looking at now, so I'll keep you up to date.
Kangaroos with certainly some assets as far as the talls are concerned. If they can get hold of the ball, clean bowls 2 or 3 in the middle of the ground. Doesn't clean bowl Dean Wallace. He's trying to make up for an error about 12 months ago that may have cost the Bombers a chance to play in a grand final. Ramanauskas in towards the pocket. It's blocked off the boot. Well done by McCartney. Is that deliberate? No, says Jason McCartney. No, says the field umpire. So it will be thrown in.
Well, it was deliberate, but he disguised it well. He was outnumbered 2-1. That was great play by Jason McCartney.
Just in the attacking half of the Bombers. McCartney front spot. Carousella got him a bit high. Carousella tries to get a handball out. Down low, Blumfield was good to Long, and he's found Lucas. He's within range. It's a tight angle. You can play on, measure the kick. It's pretty good. It's a beauty. They probably just left him alone too long there, and they gave him enough time to actually steady up and really think about it, didn't they?
They did. If someone was actually standing the mark, he probably would have had to have kicked from another 5 metres further out. But in the end, Glenn Archer was looking for his opponent. He had come back trying to fill the hole, and he realised that all of a sudden Scott Lucas had nobody on the mark. So instead of going back, he says, well, I can start my run up here. And doesn't he thread the needle?
Yeah, fair point, Jason. Scott Lucas goal. Essendon 2 straight, lead the Kangaroos 1-1. Up over the top, McKernan. No centre clearance affected there. Jason Johnson and Peter Bell, the players to go to ground as umpire Andrew Coates will bounce. Right in the middle of the MCG, McKernan up over the top, Wellman. Ball spills at ground level, kick forward by Stevens. Towards full forward, Carey, dispossessed. Ball spills. Gee, it was beautifully controlled by Wellman. Now Ramanauskas runs into trouble in the way of Clayton. Kangaroos 3-1. Great play by Grant. Squeezed the left footer in towards the right forward pocket, and it bounces over for a throw in about 10 or 12 metres around from the behind post. Essendon 2 goals, lead the Kangaroos 1-1. We'll have another look here at what may have happened to Mark Johnson. Going to ground underneath the pressure, the body pressure of the Kangaroos. McKernan gets it to the back. Hardwick spills it. Good pressure. McKernan. Kick smothered off the boot. Heffernan watches as the ball trundles over for another boundary throw-in much the same area as the previous throw-in. Darren Buick stretching. Veteran of many games and many goals with the Bombers, Darren Buick.
McKernan and Barnes. Barnes front spot, just into his lap almost, and then tried to break away. Ball comes out, good hands in close there. May have been Blumfield to Wallace, and Wallace having a very promising start. He hasn't played since round 16. Mercury fans want a free kick. Gee, Lloyd was very strong there. Broke a tackle, got a handball to Mercury. Good kick to Barnard. Sweeps the handball out wide. Mercedes measures it, goes for it, and kicks it. Put the brakes on if you're the Kangas now. Stop them right now.
Well, they got the good start, the Kangaroos, but all of a sudden the Bombers have got their momentum up, and this was all started by Matthew Lloyd's approach on the ball. He took on a couple of Kangaroos defenders. He muscled his way through, shot out the handball, and in the end it ended up in Joe Mercedes' hands, and he's pumped up. He kicks a running goal from 40 metres out directly in front.
Kangaroos coach Dennis Pagan. Pensive, watchful, alert. McKernan jumps early, punched away by Barnes. Long, good hands. Johnson, left foot kick by Jason Johnson towards full forward. Lloyd couldn't take it. Up over the top, Capuano. Simpson squeezes a kick out wide. Grant forced to kick with the left. He does very well, Shannon Grant. Ball bouncing still inside, and eventually well disguised again by Anthony Stevens in front of Joe Mercedes. And we'll see a boundary throw in right on the players' interchange area. Essendon supporters expectant of a great performance. 21 out of 22 games they've won this year. Hurd to take it away. Now Heffernan shrugs the tackle. Still Heffernan, got the ball, got the hand pass away. Caracella to run onto it, unheralded, but a great pass to Lloyd. Very important player, Caracella, in the makeup of the Bomber 18 that are on the ground at any one time.
A great handball coming out from Heffernan as well. He was besieged by a couple of defenders out in the boundary line. He just broke the tackles, and whilst the handball bounced, he just handballed it end over end of space where Caracella ran on and delivered a good ball to the leading Lloyd.
Gee, plenty of players contributing for Essendon, and good signs that they've hit back hard after the Kangaroos got the first goal through David King. Essendon going for their fourth since then. Shot at goal by Lloyd's a goal. 95 for the season. Matthew Lloyd, good start, gets a goal early in this match.
I reckon that's very important for Matthew Lloyd's confidence. This year, his conversion hasn't been as great as it could have been. I mean, we know he's kicked 95 goals now, but I really think a benchmark of whether a forward's converting well is you should kick 2 goals for every point you kick. And he's kicked 95 for 50-something in the points. So every goal counts for Matthew Lloyd, and he's edging close to that 100 mark.
4 goals in 6 minutes for the Bombers. Carey on the ball for the Kangaroos. And they just need one here, and they need it fairly urgently. Backhanded by Barnes. Caracella's been very good. The kick to half forward, Martin and Lloyd. Archer to sweep at the back. Hasn't found the footy. Still hasn't found it, and then coughs it up to Blumfield. They'll make them pay, I think. Barnard to Lloyd. He'll kick a goal. He has.
I would think that right now Dennis Pagan is a very worried man. We saw Carey start in the middle. I think that was just to try and stop the midfield dominance that the Bombers had done then. And then he sees one of his experienced defenders in Glenn Archer first of all fumble the ball, then a blind handball over the top, misses the target. A couple of slick handballs from the Bombers that do hit the targets. And Matthew Lloyd, for a key forward, is one of the best kicks on the run as well. He's not just a set shot player. He doesn't make any mistake, and all of a sudden he's got 2 to his name.
Gee, they've had a fair bit of the football, Essendon. 42 possessions, kicks and handballs to 26 for the Kangaroos. 5 goals in 7 minutes. It's been an authoritative surge backwards into this game and over the top of the Kangaroos right now. 5 straight to 1-1. Couple of goals to Lloyd, going to 96 for the season.
Robbo,
Still, Mark Johnson in a little bit of strife there. He just can't quite flex that shoulder or arm injury. Motlop dispossessed by Long. Well done. Archer went in. Jason Johnson tried to get it clear. Blumfield leading in the race for the ball. Umpires picked a free kick from the previous altercation. It'll go to Ramanauskas. Plays on quickly to Hardwick. Hardwick out wide. High flyer was Barnard, couldn't take it. Bursting his way through McCartney, left foot kick pretty good. It wasn't too bad, dropped by Motlop, which was very, very important that he held onto that. Lucas confronted, still Motlop into the action, and he's going to be rewarded. The front on tackle, locked it up, and he is rewarded with the free kick. Motlop's kick across the half-forward line. Still Carey to get his first possession. Fletcher may have been kicking in danger. Wellman spots a player out wide, it's Barnes. Barnes is on centre wing, bouncing through the logo. Johnny Barnes kicks it towards full forward. Hurd! James Hurd. He's kicked a goal. Hooks the ball in towards centre half forward, punched away. The ball at ground level gathered by Anthony Stevens. Kicks it out wide. Now the race is on. An important possession. Carousel to Wellman. Crashing his way through Stevens. Now it was Bell actually. Now Abraham. Kicked the ball, Winnie. He goes out to the left. He spotted a player. It was David King. Can he straighten up? Find some space. Maybe kick a goal for the Kangaroos. He's slotted his second. Desperate piece of play for the Kangaroos, resulting in David King getting his second. The Kangaroos trail by 17.
Gee, that's a crucial goal to David King, just to keep them in touch. Peter Bell's attack on the wing was brilliant. I think it was Sean Wellman coming the other way. He just put his head down, eye on the ball, took them all on, shot out the handball as he got hammered. And in the end, I think it was Abraham getting the ball out to King. Didn't want to kick on the left foot. He backed himself to get onto his favourite foot, find some space. And he's pretty happy. He started very well, David King.
Got to be careful saying this with you sitting there. I loved last night. It was finals footy at its best. This is a better standard.
Oh, I've got no doubt about that, Bruce.
This is up a notch, isn't it? 5 goals to 2-1. So they just stay in touch, don't they? They absolutely had to get that one. You can see Bell's gritted his teeth here. Somebody had to do something. And King's on the end of it again. And then breaks another one. And then straightens it up and goes short. Wants McKernan. Motlop's got a chance. Strolls in. Misses. Probably had to keep it low in the end.
That's a poor miss. Well, he tried to finesse a drop punt on the left foot, and look, he might have been better taking him on. They had a 2-on-1 situation, or otherwise he needed to use his right foot.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Jason, suggesting David King need to use his left just then. Shannon.
Oh, dear. Sorry, boys, Richard, while you're talking there, Dustin Fletcher has made an unbelievable kicking error and has put it right onto the chest of David King. Watch again. Yes, this has happened today.
Do you remember late in the game against the Bulldogs with Fletcher?
I was about to say, as good a season as he's had, he has made some crucial kicking errors. And all of a sudden, Jason Johnson, who's picking up David King in the middle of the moment, King's working forward. He's lining up for his third.
Well, boys, it wasn't just the turnover there. It's just the decision-making process. You don't go short early. Short that close to goal in the back line.
Well, David King has done the job on 2 previous occasions, kicking goals for the Kangaroos. Going for his third. The margin 16 presently. The margin is 10. 3 goals to David King. 2 goals to Matthew Lloyd for the Bombers. Essendon 5 straight. Lead the Kangaroos 3-2.
Well, that's certainly given the Bombers something to think about. Jason Johnson, we saw an incredible last quarter from him against the Blues going back a few weeks. Well, he's being blitzed by the man he's picking up at the moment. David King has kicked 3 first quarter goals and really kept the Kangaroos in this match.
Well, a couple of minutes can change the mood of a coaching box in a hurry, can't it? So there's been goals galore here. And the Kangaroos get back. King with 3 first quarter goals. Capuano did well in the end, didn't panic. Grant, Archer. Little give was good by Mercedes to Carosella. Hurd wide, he'll get him. He's got him.
That's just a matchup they're going to take. You know, they're going to exploit it fully because Simpson has a great wind tank. He can run with Hurd, who's one of the fittest players playing the game. But he's unaccustomed to playing fullback. You can probably see them deep in the background. He just led to the open side, to the fat side, and he's 5 metres clear. And if he continues to play out of the square, I don't know how long Simpson will last on him.
Kicking from about 48, gets underneath it. May have pushed it a bit. It's close. He likes it. Well, there are heroics everywhere in this first quarter, aren't there? I mean, there are so many players that are starring. We saw Carousella's 7th touch of beauty. Hurd's got 2, Lloyd's got a couple, and King at the other end's got 3.
If it keeps going at this rate, you'd have to back the Bombers, wouldn't you?
Without a doubt.
I mean, the times that they've struggled, you've restricted them to less than 15 goals.
I don't think there's anyone in the competition that can beat them in a shootout, Robbo, without a doubt. The Kangaroos' defence, whilst we know it's got some big names there, they do let some scores in. They need to tighten up.
Blakey and James Hurd, there's been a switch made. It was Adam Simpson that was manning up. Kangaroos are doing pretty well getting first hands at the ball at the centre bounces, but the Bombers effectively taking it away. On this occasion it was Michael Long. Forward, McCurry couldn't take it. Grant, Bell's in trouble. Oh, terrific understanding there with Simpson. Simpson's kick towards full forward. There's a free kick. It's got to go to the Kangaroos in Carey. Made the man their target instead of the ball.
Well, that was just against Dean
50 metres, Jason. Makes a living certainty of it.
And the other thing, it gets Carey into the match, doesn't it?
That's unforgivable, giving away a 50-metre penalty to a player that's outside 50. He's going to kick from 53 metres.
And pops it through for the Kangaroos' 4th goal. Wayne Carey's first kick. Before that, he had had 1 hand pass and 1 tackle.
You can just see Dean Solomon not watching the ball. He doesn't even try. It's a half-hearted effort to turn and look for the ball, but he was never at any stage tracking the ball, and that's what gave the free kick away. He just took the running of Wayne Carey, who was attacking the football.
Simpson getting involved too. Release from Hurd. So they hang close, don't they, the Kangaroos? 4-2 to 6 goals. Capuano, a double premiership player on the centre. Blumfield goes out wide. And McCartney and Lucas. Archer looking for it. Keeps his head down, can't get it. Barnard's been okay. Long has gone into the centre in the last couple of minutes. McCurry, clever kick, almost cut off by Simpson. Blumfield to Long. Quick tackle on Long, forcing the error. McCurry pushing forward. Wellman just giving it up. Blumfield trying to get through. Kangaroo tackling was terrific from both sides. The handball coming out from Masudi. Barnard's got to keep his nut down. He does. Finds Barnes. He's clever Barnes. Smoker Joe can kick a second one, and he does. This is as good as it gets. This is champagne footy.
Well, I would say so far this quarter already we've seen 2 or 3 situations where a player from each team has approached a 50-50 ball. In this instance, it ended up after the handball comes out from this ruckus at centre-half forward. Paul Barnard for the Bombers and Matthew Capuano for the Kangaroos approaching a 50-50 ball. And Barnard's just quick it onto it, keeps his eyes on the ball, keeps his body behind it, and then shoots it out, and Mercedes kicks another.
Barnard, 4 very productive hand passes since coming on the ground to replace Mark Johnson, who we believe may have a shoulder injury. And we'll keep you updated with that.
If you don't get the ball in those 50-50s, you've got to at least stop the player coming through.
7 goals straight, Essendon, 4-2. 11 goals kicked in the quarter, and we've got 7 minutes left. Blumfield again, little left foot kick, pretty good. Barnard, his 5th hand pass to Moorcroft. Moorcroft into the pocket, leading out in front is McCurry. Run down by Grant, got the hand pass to Lucas. Lucas's kick is disciplined to the front of the square. Who can swoop on this? Hurd, skillfully, James Hurd. Lets himself down a little with the kick. Confronted was Harvey. Good play, Lloyd. Moorcroft may set up the goal. Moorcroft, the kick has been marked by Barnes.
Matthew Lloyd, that was a magnificent hip and shoulder. We talked about the 50-50s. If you can't get the ball, well, he took the player out and he took him out fairly.
Kicks across the face of goal. Players allowed to go on. Moorcroft kicks to Hurd. If he hasn't been paid the mark, which he hasn't, Stevens, Essendon fans would be irate about that one. Awkward bouncing ball. Back to Blumfield. Traps it all right. Simpson over the top. Ball spills out wide now. Chance here for Colbert. Handball over the top. Running in support is Bell. The chaser was Wallace. The kick forward. Great mark. No. Paid. Yes. Motlop. A little lucky. A little fortunate was Shannon Motlop. And he'll kick from 50 metres. He's a long kick of the ball. He lobs it in the square. Carey from behind couldn't take it. Fletcher to run away from the full-back line. Kicks it out wide. Player on his own is Barnes. Barnes covering some territory for the Bombers.
Down the line to Barnard. They've switched it quickly. Barnard goes short. Mercury on the burst. Got a little shove. Play on called. Grant boots it away. Can't find the line. Long did well. Kept his eye on it. King didn't take him out. Long stops and props. Goes in short to half forward. Good Mark Pickett. First real time we've seen him.
Wasn't a good option from Michael Long.
Pickett
Picked
won
the
in
wrong
50.
target there. That was almost a 50-metre penalty as well. Tell you what, they're getting killed out of the middle of the Kangaroos. It's 8-1 to the Bombers at the moment.
Grant down the ground with Mercury. Abraham looks for a free. Mercury. Clever. Hasn't given it up yet. Gets it to Hardwick. Hardwick's little kick. Wants Lucas close to the line. Taken out. Boundary throw in.
Kangaroos have actually made a change, hoping to rectify that centre square problem. Matty Capuano off and Spider Burton on.
So the big Spider out there in his first final at 30 years of age. Getting a bird's eye view here. What a quarter of footy it's been so far.
42 plays 26. Essendon by 16 points. Kangaroos, the tackle on Lucas by McCartney. Spillage gathered by Abraham. Well done, that's a free kick to Hardwick. And he tackled him from behind after bouncing the ball. The tackle was reasonably effective. The free kick to Hardwick. 50 metres! Yes, you're right, son. But the umpire's having nothing of that. Damien Hardwick kicks in towards the middle. Long, coming up for possession, number 7, Michael Long. Kicks out wide to left half forward, Martin and Lloyd. At the back, Moorcroft. Pickett to run him down, Moorcroft. Pickett went for the man, I felt. Moorcroft. Screw punted goal across the face. Out of bounds on the full. Free kick for the Kangaroos to be taken back there by Peter Bell. Bell in the left back pocket. Running a long way down as McKernan to provide a target. Bell goes in that direction. It won't quite get that far. Punch back for the Bombers. Gathered here by Simpson. Who's he got the kick to? No one. So it's a bit of a floating mongrel punt kick to the wing position. Carey went straight past it. Carosella gets back. Feeds it back to Fletcher. Fletcher assesses. Kicks the ball to the forward 50. At the back was Barnes. Hurd. Missed by all three. Now Heffernan fourth in line. Heffernan across towards half forward. Falls in short. Pickett over the top. Good contest. Mercury. Stevens. Now Grant for the Kangaroos. Good spotting. Out wide he finds Colbert.
It's been pretty good, Grant. Colbert, first real touch for him. It's his first kick. Wobbly kick. Carey caught underneath. King's been outstanding. In many ways he's kept them in. The other King running for him. Plays on. Centre, he kicks a beauty to Motlop. Can he get there? Good play by Mercedes. Was it to cut it off? Free kick to Smoke and Joe.
Great play, Joe Mercedes.
He's had a good first quarter, has Mercedes. Wide for Barnard, who's been very, very good.
He's giving Archer a bit of the run around at the moment, Paul Barnard.
So Barnes, who just presents himself, his aerobic ability is really impressive. Goes wide to Lloyd. With him is Mickey. Lloyd turns him inside out. Comes across to Hurd. Has he got him? Yes, he has.
Well, you just see the difference there earlier on when Moorcroft had the opportunity to send the ball. He didn't. Matthew Lloyd did. And we find James Hurd with an extremely easy shot on goal.
Gee, they've got some problems, the Kangaroos down back. The way that Hurd and Lloyd are operating, they've got a couple of goals each. And this time, from Lloyd to Hurd. And doesn't he thread that through three defenders?
And Hurd's kicked his third goal. He's a remarkable footballer, is Hurd. I mean, out of the game for so long.
Quality.
Oh,
Just quality personified, James Hurd. This wasn't pretty good perception by Matthew Lloyd, though, too, wasn't it?
It was very good, very good. I mean, once he pushed Nick Martin under the ball, he had the momentum carrying him that way. And he wasn't selfish. He looked around, found the best option. Pretty tight one in the end,
Yeah,
but he
not
managed to
much
sneak
margin.
the ball in there.
Not much margin at all there, and the mark and goal to the captain. Well, 3 goals to James Hurd, a couple to Matthew Lloyd, a couple to Joe Mercedes. Big guns firing for the Bombers early. Clearance affected by Long. Left foot kick towards half forward. Well played McCartney, kept the ball in front of himself, then went after it again. Second option wasn't bad. Long spillage, no. Tackled, Lucas. Wide, Barnard. Geez, had a fair bit of the football. Short kick has been marked by Mercury. The mushrooms just keep popping up, don't they? Player on his own is Carosella. Mercury could have nearly kicked the goal. Carosella will probably make a certainty of it.
They're just relentless the way the Bombers run to space. I mean, once they win possession of the ball, they have that much confidence in their teammates to maintain possession and hit their targets. They just flood forward, giving attacking options. And Carosella found himself in space. And Mercury, unselfish, probably would have just tested him for distance. Mercury would have been about 50 out.
Like a comment, 97 possessions to 55 in favour of the Bombers. Carosella to make it 98 and kick another goal. He hardly ever misses, Blake Carosella. Very good goal kicker in this lineup. Mercury was the unselfish player, giving the pass off. Carosella gets the Bombers' 9th goal, and it is 9 straight.
Now, if you spoke to Dennis Pagan prior to the match and said, well, with a couple of minutes to go left in the first quarter, you'd have 4-2, 26 on the board, he probably would have thought, well, that'd have us in the game. They've kicked 9 straight. They're down 5 goals. This is incredible.
And there's no flukiness about them, is it? It's disciplined in that corridor to make it simple for the goal kickers.
They look complete, don't they, at the moment? This is their best first quarter effort for the year. Their previous best was 7-5 in round 13 against the Kangaroos. Simpson had it taken off him by Masiti to Hurd. Can't quite this time. Lloyd and Hurd together. Blakey gets back. Handball over the top to McCartney. They need a late goal here, the Kangaroos. Bell running hard. Hasn't quite taken the mark. He's trying to get away from Blumfield. He does now. Blumfield goes to ground. Doesn't get far enough. Wellman chops it off and goes to Moorcroft. Inside the 50 now. What will he do? Go short. Got Mercury? Yes. Tucked away in the pocket. We are seeing a great football team at their very best here today.
This, apart from Lucas's goal, which was in the same area of the ground, would probably be the most difficult shot at goal that they've had.
Just the quality of the Bombers' disposal is unbelievable. When they have time, they punish your mistakes by hitting their targets.
Well, he's such a brilliant footballer. Nothing is beyond him. But he might have spoiled the record. And they give him a 90 boo.
He blotted the copybook and don't they let him know about it.
Won't that be remembered sometime tonight?
We're a strange breed, us Aussie rules football supporters, aren't we?
Look at that scoreline. It has been the most explosive start imaginable to this match.
Well, short kick-in has been taken by Anthony Stevens. He kicks the ball out wide to the wing. It's 3-on-1. McKernan was third in line. Kicked away by Archer. Chance now for Simpson. Simpson straightens and then kicks to a 2-on-1. Ramanauskas at the back, disciplined. Big punch towards the boundary line. Motlop taken by Ramanauskas. Handball down the line. Over the top of the head there of Heffernan. Getting back as Harvey. He's been a little quiet. In trouble there was Clayton. Heffernan and Harvey. Harvey to have a bit of a crack at Chris Heffernan. Nothing much you can do there. 3 umpires, couple of boundary umpires, and plenty of scrutiny as far as video cameras about to pick it up. Kevin Sheedy down to prepare to address his players at quarter time. There's only a matter of seconds left in the first term. David King, who's kicked 3 goals, kicks it forward. Abraham up high. Was the mark paid to Colbert? No. Solomon confronted. Still a chance for Stevens. Fletcher and Wallace. Wallace to get away. Solomon was there to support. Abraham with seconds left. Back it goes. No score registered. The siren had sounded. The 2 arms are up in the air. That's an Essendon player down. It might be Hardwick by the look of it. He's all right. He'll be okay. He's a tough nut, Damien Hardwick. And Damien, when you have a look at the scoreboard, you can feel pleased along with your 21 teammates, because it's been a terrific first term by the Bombers. 9-1-55. And the Kangaroos 4-2-26.
Looks like his worst nightmare has come to fruition.
Well, the second quarter about to start. The Bombers and the Kangaroos at the MCG in front of a big crowd. Probably 65,000 people here today. Burton gets his first hand to it. Stevens dispossessed. Michael Long to kick the ball forward for the Bombers. In towards full forward. Martin and Lloyd. Lloyd does well. Provides the contest. Long over the back. Mickey Martin confronted by the handballer, which was in the first instance was James Hurd. Bell confronted by Carosella. And the Bombers win out again, even though the Kangaroos had the football. They won the points, the Bombers, by keeping it just close to their forward 50, about 55 metres from goal. McCartney takes the ball from the boundary throw-in, gathered by Pickett. Can he run away from Lloyd? He does. Steadies and bounces. No one really to kick to, so he's got to go to a pretty well vacant area at half-back. Out here is Motlop with Ramanauskas. Ramanauskas does well. Hand pass to Barnard. Left foot kick by Barnard towards half-forward. Mark taken by Pickett.
Boys, just an update with Mark Johnson. It's definitely his left shoulder. There's a little bit of concern in the camp. Let's just hope it's not too bad.
Did a collarbone last year, so we'll have to watch that. The kick by Burton to Carey. It's had no impact so far. Fletcher's been able to be well on top there, and Heffernan arches his back and comes away too easily. Runs his full measure and then kicks to half forward. Lloyd's a charge. He can take Mickey on here, decides not to. Goes back, Hurd's in the goal square. He'll thump it with everything he's got. Hurd waiting and waiting and waiting. Can't get there, and it's a behind.
James Hurd looking ruefully at the umpire for a free kick for hanging on, but look, they're still trying to do it even now that John Blakey's picking up James Hurd. They're leaving him one out the square and trying to get as many one-on-one contests as possible.
The fan's fantastic. That bloke who's probably got James's number on the back said, that's what he was doing up. He had hold of me.
Every right to ask for a free kick too.
Yeah, it was. If the umpire saw the replay, it was a definite free kick to Hurd. So Byron Pickett preparing to kick it back in for the Kangaroos. Goes towards left half back. Good strong mark taken by McCartney. He looks to play on and then kicks it high in the air. Pinpointing their teammates is not a plus for the Kangaroos. McKernan takes the mark and then plays on quickly. Could have probably gone short to King and coughed it up to Fletcher. Fletcher, the rebound football's going to be costly here. Lucas looking to get onto the favoured left. Does so and then thumps it. Inside the forward 50, Lloyd, they could have raffled that, he and Mercury. Running away Martin, tackled by Lloyd. Handball. Gee, the work of the forwards for the Bombers is enormous. The fact that they've kicked 9 goals is one thing, but they're making the Kangaroos work so tremendously hard to get the ball clear of that last line and second last line of defence. Abraham just forward of the centre. Will have to hold it up, then eventually goes for Carey, misses, long, kicks it back. Man on his own is Barnes. Oh, he was going to mop it up, but that oval ball did the wrong thing by him and missed. Kicked away there by Simpson, and Cochrane on the ground, manning up on Barnard. So defensive move, Barnard having some impact. Cochrane comes off the bench to try and negate that. Colbert presently warming the bench for the Kangaroos. Chandler, Capuano and Troy Makepeace, the other 3 members.
Burton out of the air, did pretty well. Wants Archer. Wellman in the front spot. Solomon goes to ground. McKernan onto him. Handball, Miss Wallace. Motlop with pace, takes them on, bursts through. King's running hard for him. Motlop goes to the square. King getting back and takes a beautiful mark. He ran hard for about 50 metres there.
It's the only one up forward that looks likely to kick a goal for the Kangaroos at the moment, which would be a very worrying sign for Dennis Pagan, but he's doing his utmost to keep the Kangaroos in the game. Good kick from Motlop. He realised there was a vacant goal square. King was just belting back as hard as he could. Hardwick hot on his hammer, and he just kicked it long, trying to get it over the top of the defender, and King ran onto it.
3 goals in the opening term for King.
It's like Archer might have been moved forward away from Barnard. We mentioned Cochrane manning up on Barnard, but I notice Archer down at the front of the square there with Dean Solomon.
Only their second mark in the attacking 50, and both of them by David King.
They've got to get all of these to stay close, don't they? All day. They can't miss any of these. King for his 4th. He likes it. It's a fantastic return. Well played, Motlop, by the way.
There's one good thing, Jason. Carey's kicked 1 goal, which was a bonus 50-metre penalty. He's only had 1 kick. The rest of their goals have come from David King. There are players that can lift for the Kangaroos.
Yes, without a doubt. But the big query, Robbo, is whether they will or not, because they're being well and truly contained by their opponents at the moment.
Well, blokes like Abraham and Harvey are goal kickers.
Darren Buick, Mark Johnson still there, Jason Johnson and Steve Alessio yet to have a run in this match. We're 5.5 minutes into the second term. Oh, well done, Bell. Well done, Peter Bell. Set an example. Ramanauskas. Motlop didn't have it. Right in front of the umpire. And Ramanauskas, a disappointed young man. He didn't have the ball. He played it in front of himself. Ramanauskas, the tackler. The free kick with Motlop. Michael Long coming off, Darren Buick on.
You can just see why Dennis Pagan and the Kangaroos were keen to get Shannon Motlop back into the mix. He just has a bit of spark, a bit of explosive pace off the mark. And a couple of things he's done. He created the goal for Stephen King a moment ago. Now, if he can top this off, he's certainly helped the Kangaroos get back in the game.
They trail by 24. They trail by 23. 5-3-33. The Kangaroos. Essendon 9-2-56. The Bombers have added a behind. And the Kangaroos have kicked 1-1 so far in this second term. Fletcher to bring it back for Essendon.
Missed a couple, Motlop. Missed one at the other end in the first quarter, so he's kicked 2 behinds.
You don't get too many opportunities against the Bombers. You have to make the most of them.
Fletcher, gee, look at that. He's kicked the ball almost to the centre wing. A high fly from Blumfield from the front. King there. Buick has just come on, held on to. He was clever, Buick. He used all of the experience that he's got over the years and then goes quickly to Barnes. It's been one of the big plays all year. Barnes getting out wide on the wing for the Bombers and creating. Burton coming off the ground. Looks a bit proppy. Barnes goes to half forward. Lloyd read at best. Was smothered by Pickett. Well done. Kangaroos are still being resourceful here against the gun. Pickett with a bit of time. Casually. 2 bounces. He comes out. Capuano's just come on the ground. That's where he goes. Wellman takes it off him and then belts it away. Down low Mercedes. The handball comes to Ramanauskas. Handball onto Wellman. He's got Mercury short if he wants him. Better kick probably to Moorcroft. Moorcroft 70 metres from goal and then goes to the pocket for Lucas. Well done, Capuano in the hot spot. Held his ground and takes the mark, and the big switch is on and he gets out wide to Carey, who's had no impact at all to date.
Carey has quite a bit of space in front of himself. A couple of bounces and then forced to kick with the left. Not bad. Abraham couldn't take it. Crashing his way through Archer, but wasn't he confronted beautifully? Solomon, they have stood up grandly. The Bomber defence at the feet of Caracella. The gather was perfect by Caracella. The kick in towards half forward and out on his own in front of Martin. He is running Mickey Martin ragged, Matthew Lloyd. Lloyd's kick a little disappointing. In towards the half forward area. A flip at the back. Gathered by McCartney. The flip came from Clayton. The kick went forward. Terrific mark at the back by Solomon. Looks to play on. Wellman made position on the wing. Handballs it in towards the centre. Ramanauskas. Lloyd looks a certainty. Martin does well. Hurd there to crumb it. Still James Hurd. Still James Hurd unselfishly to Moorcroft.
And that's all that was unfolding, Robbo. Makepeace on and Winston Abraham off.
Thanks for that, Richard. I wondered when we were talking about Shannon Motlop how long it would take for Makepeace to come on, because he's quite a clever player too with a bit of leg speed. He's gone into the forward line, but he's going to watch on because Gary Moorcroft surely will get Essendon's 10th goal from point-blank range. Moorcroft kicks for goal and kicks truly. First goal in this match to Gary Moorcroft. First goal of the second term for Essendon. 10-2 plays 5-3. And you get rewarded in this Bomber lineup for kicking a goal, Jason. Straight to the interchange bench.
Yeah, look, it's the worrying factor for the Kangaroos at the moment. If you look at the matchups up forward, Hurd disposed of Simpson early. Blakey's got the job now. He's going to find that tough. Mick Martin has problems with Lloyd. They don't have too many options if these players can't stand up for them.
So Moorcroft off. Sheed's having a word to him. So just kicked the goal, took a terrific mark. Long on for him. 10 goals to 5. 10-2 to 5-3 to be exact. Relentless pressure from the Bombers. Mercedes again through the centre. Goes to full forward. McCartney back. Hurd read it pretty well. So did Mercury. Out to Long. Long scoops it back. Hurd brilliant. Magnificent stuff. He is a champion. He really is in the true sense of the word. Improvisation from Long. Sheer brilliance from Hurd. Mercedes' resourcefulness through the centre. It all adds up to a potent mix.
Is there any way this could be deemed as a throw from Michael Long?
Well, he tried to slap it, but he certainly got a piece of the ball.
Let's not ruin a good
nice
passage
direct
of play.
pass, wasn't it? But James Hird was the beneficiary. The problem for the Kangaroos is in the middle. They're getting absolutely dominated at the centre square bounces.
Boys, Byron Pickett limping off the ground,
Yep.
also a major concern, and Spider Burton did come off proppy. His left ankle's the problem.
Oh, good observations there, Richard. We're watching here Byron Pickett, and that doesn't look too good. Here they go again. A very effective centre clearance by Mercedes. Hird gathers in front of Blakey. Blakey over the top of the ball. Umpire allowing play to go on. The kick forward bounces. Oh, Mickey Martin got back there and forced her behind. Lucas very prominent in that passage of play. Steve Alessio stretching. 5-3 the Kangaroos, 11-3 the Bombers. 6 goals is the margin in favour of Essendon. The kick in. Oh, well marked. Blumfield. Gee, their second and third string players, if there's such a thing, have such an influence. The ball all the way to the goal face. Bell. Now what's happened? There was a free kick picked from the ball coming in towards the full forward area for Essendon. It might have been against Lloyd there on Mickey Martin. His attempts to get out the ball infringing against Martin. Short kick by Martin, not allowed. Umpire asking for Mickey Martin to go back and kick over the man on the mark. Centre breaks emphatically in favour of Essendon.
So Mickey in the end has to give it all he's got. Almost a centre wing. Carey uncompetitive in the marking contests around the ground at the moment, and a ball up.
Yeah, then it just compounds the problem. If they're getting beaten in the middle, they're not getting McKernan and Carey into the game at all. They've got to do something to get those two contributing.
And Pickett's in trouble, and Burton looks in a bit of trouble, and the scoreboard looks a bit sick too. They've just got to keep coming if they can. Mercedes having a blinder. I think it might have been out of bounds, but Curie's little gift to him. They were close to the line when he gave it to him.
And boys, the problem area for Byron Pickett at the moment is left knee.
Well, there's the king. They're just all over Carey, aren't they? Front and back, and they've worked him out for the moment. Can he respond? To Mercedes, to Long, and Long goes and wobbles and just misses. Mercedes is just carving them up here. Just cutting through them.
I think importantly it's the share. Mercury 7, Hird 8, Wellman 6, Ramanauskas 8. The sharing of the ball and the responsibility is just spread over the whole of the 22. When they come off the bench, they seem to be able to get hold of the ball. The kick in, and no mark. Blumfield. Short kick by Mercury is taken by Mercedes. Asked to play on, so obviously didn't cover the required distance. Mercedes kick, punched away by Martin. Under pressure back there was Makepeace, but got the hand pass to Bell. Bell goes with the left. The mark is taken by Blumfield. That's his third possession within about 90 seconds in that area of the ground. The kick short has been well marked by McCartney.
Brett Chandler on for his first run, boys, replacing Shane Clayton.
Bell, Makepeace from the defensive 50, kicks it out wide. No mark taken down there by David King, but his recovery was pretty good. Kicks it really to the advantage of the Bombers. Fletcher getting back, Carey dispossessing, getting the hand pass away. Shot at goal by Harvey, looks pretty good, it's a goal. Kangaroos, badly needed goal. Brent Harvey combining with the captain who delivered the hand pass. The Kangaroos get their 6th, but they trail drastically. 6-3-39, Essendon 11-4-70.
Yeah, I think Carey just wanted the kick from King to be a little bit longer, a little bit deeper, but Fletcher almost takes a great one, and in the end Carey just steals it, handballs out to Harvey. So they need a few more like that, and very, very quickly.
But better signs, weren't they? Motlop's giving them something, he really is.
What they need to do is win a centre clearance clearly and take it straight down to kick a goal, just get a bit of natural flow happening.
So it's 11-6. They sort of stay in touch a little, don't they? It's a 5-goal game, I know, but it is a high-scoring match. The free kick to the Bombers. Well, that's what the Kangaroos don't want. Somebody over the line. So Barnes to take it. With this big and sparkling forward line staring him in the face. And Barnes decides to exploit it by going long and high, and Hurd was third man up. Lucas, they get it away. Martin's little give, doesn't quite find Archer. The reliable firm is under the gun like they haven't been under the pump for many years. Hurd got a high one. Lucas was cut off by Mercedes, who's been brilliant. Barnard tried to tap it back. Buick, left foot, he'll love it. If he can goal, he won't. Martin belts it away and out of play. Archer and Martin, every time they get it, they are so quick to tackle them today, the Bombers, to really put a doubt in their mind, and they've been so great for the Kangaroos in this situation for so long.
Well, we're past the halfway mark of the second term. Essendon have kicked a couple of goals in this second term, and the Kangaroos have kicked 2. Caracella couldn't take the ball with him, and Archer plays the percentages. And Michael Long suggesting that that should have been penalised.
Byron Pickett with a knee heavily strapped. He's been up and about, running along the boundary line and standing up, ready to come back on. So that's a good sign for the Kangaroos.
Boundary throw in. Blakey confronted by Caracella. Umpire will call for a bounce.
I can tell you, Jaso, that left knee is extremely proppy. I saw him running around the boundary line. He's not 100% fit.
He won't sit down, though. He's virtually saying, get me back on.
Well, he'd have some chance of being a contributor if he can keep it warm, I guess. Tapped by Barnard. Mercury dispossessed. It was deemed as a throw. They were going to take it away through Bell, but now it will come back to John Blakey by the look of it, who will have to take the free kick at half-back. You can see there certainly the tackle from Stevens forcing the throw from Mercury, and Stevens eventually on the end of the football. Ordinary kick by Anthony Stevens. Well played Motlop, Ramanauskas and Lloyd. Hand pass goes back to Wellman. Kangaroos keep the heat on. Lloyd, is he going to be tackled? Got the hand pass away. Hardwick's hurried left foot kick, and standing his ground and taking a good mark is Shannon Grant between fullback and centre halfback. He's about 30 metres away from the Essendon goal, and it was an important mark really taken by the Norm Smith medalist from last year's grand final, Shannon Grant. He kicks into the middle. Where are the crumb gatherers? On this occasion it's Barnard. Handball over the top. Mercedes confronted by Makepeace. Barnard again has been very productive. Blumfield's kick slews off the side of his boot and is marked by Wellman. About 4 juggles at it, and eventually he's been paid the mark. Difficult angle for Sean Wellman.
Barnard off, boys. Alessio on for his first run.
Bit of a mismatch. Anthony Stevens having to try and fight Sean Wellman in the air, and you would always back Wellman when the kick's coming over the top like that. But he did well just to keep his eye on the ball.
I said 4 touches. I think he had about 7. And he's kicked the goal. Great kick by Wellman. Sean Wellman gets Essendon's 12th goal, 12-4 to 6-3. The margin now 37 points. Sean Wellman, year 2000 goals, 5. Career goals, just 19.
Well, he took the mark and kicked it like a full forward, didn't he? So 12 goals, 4 to 6-3 now. Wellman with that clever mark, and then equally clever kick with the check side. King, who's been the outstanding player in this Kangaroo team, but Mercedes has been just as good at the other end. Mercedes again, trying to get it out. Chandler trying to get a touch. Blumfield's been good. The ball scoops out. Down low, Hardwick. Makepeace and Bell, and Mercedes wraps him up.
All of a sudden, Bruce, James Hurd has his third opponent of the day. Glenn Archer's gone back onto him. And John Blakey's come up into the midfield, trying to put a hold on the rampant Bomber on ballers.
Alessio in the ruck, getting a run. Colbert's been very quiet. Kick slews a bit. Hardwick, still Hardwick, straightened up really well there, and then found some space, and then bangs it to centre half forward. Caracella, the big flyer. Martin at the back. Quick give was effective to Colbert, to Bell, to Grant, but they're in their defensive 50, and they're making heavy weather going forward. Blakey, just his second kick. Loads it up with a high and long one. Wants Carey to take a mark on Fletcher. Fletcher's had the answers. Just off him and then building away. Make pieces, high ball. The paddock set up. Can Motlop? No, Ramanauskas takes a wonderful mark and then switches play to Wellman, who's got Carosella when he looks up. Finds him now. And Carosella can look up and he'll see Blumfield's in front of him. Carosella goes now with a little one. Bad kick. Blumfield made it. Turned around beautifully and gets hurt lace out. Great stuff.
Party time for James Hird.
They're just irrepressible, the Bombers. They just keep coming. I mean, if James Hird didn't mark that, Matthew Lloyd would have. He was 5 metres clear on his lead as well.
I thought the kick coming in from the other side from the Kangaroos to Motlop and Ramanauskas was just not smart.
Yep.
Not a really smart kick at all.
Going for a 5th goal in the first half. It's close. He's got it. He's kicked 5. Their bit players would be superstars in many other teams, blokes like Blumfield and Carosella.
Well, as I said earlier, Bruce, you classify it maybe as a second rung or a third rung, Jason. But in this lineup, there's a couple of superstars, and then there's about 12 or 13 or 14 of them that you can't differentiate, can you? You can't categorise.
That's why they're so hard to beat, because you can keep a couple of the stars quiet. There's just too many players ready and capable to step up.
Gee, some forlorn faces there on the bench for the Kangaroos. Colbert having a spell once again. 6 minutes left in the first half and in excess of 7-goal advantage for Essendon. Barnes to Mercedes. Mercedes to half forward. And Mercury has taken the mark.
You know, Joe Mercedes, the one that's doing all the damage.
Yeah, my word.
He is absolutely killing me. He's had 17 possessions, 6 centre clearances and kicked a couple of goals.
You'd give Mark Mercury a chance to kick this. 4 goals so far in this term to 2 to the Kangaroos.
I think he'd like to, Robbo. He's pretty annoyed with Shannon Grant at the moment, I can tell you.
Grant on the mark is about 45, maybe a little further, 46, 47 metres, but Mercury goes back and says, thank you very much. Great finish from Mercury. He kicks his first goal, and the Bombers have their 14th on the scoreboard, and again significantly it is 14 goals 4. They've kicked very accurately from positions pretty much in front of goals. The Kangaroos 6 goals 3.
It's a terrible thing to say so early in the game, but the Kangaroos need to go into damage control. I mean, they've got to start thinking, well, we won't recover if we get belted by a huge margin here. They have to somehow scrap their way back into the game. But look, we're not saying they can't win from here, but gee, if they don't start fighting and scrapping and tightening up now, they'll get blown away by a huge margin.
They've just got to plug up somewhere, don't they?
And in the middle is where it's all starting.
Buick to Heffernan to Long waits. Just touched by Pickett. Gets to about 50. Cochrane on Lucas. Hird cleverly done to Long. And then Long in typical style finds a bit of space. Wants Lloyd. Mickey from the back belts it away.
The problem that the Kangaroos got at the moment is, what do they do in the centre square? Their first string on ballers who are normally their strength are getting beaten. Dennis has got to try to find someone that's competitive in the middle, and it may mean he has to go a little bit unorthodox in their centre setup.
Alessio and McCartney. Alessio almost took it out of the air. Little toe poke in. Long slaps it out. Almost a throw. Mercury back. Blumfield waits. Hird's kick 5. He lines them up. He's hooked it. He's missed one. He is human. He's kicked 5-1. He's played 2 matches in the last 7 weeks.
He'd be starved of football too, wouldn't you think? I mean,
tell you what, when he went to bed last night, he would have been pretty pleased. The fact that he was playing today, wouldn't he? Missed the finals last year.
Most definitely, yeah, that's a point to be taken. He hasn't played a lot of football, as you say, in the last few weeks, but certainly in the last couple of years. So he'd be chafing at the bit, firstly, for a chance to play football, but now his Bombers a chance to play in the grand final, maybe. Simpson towards full forward, Solomon at the back, Grant there for the Kangaroos. The kick is very good by Solomon to Barnes. Barnes goes in towards the middle, where Heffernan is marked away from Cochrane. Still in his defensive half of the ground, but Hardwick gathering the hand pass, kicks it towards right half forward. Kangaroos outnumber. Well done, Capuano. Squeezes the kick down towards the wing. Heffernan. Good negative defensive work by Chris Heffernan to force a boundary throw in. as the big Spider Burton prepares to come onto the ground. 89-39. Gee, it's a big margin, isn't it? And we're not quite up to half time. 50 points is the lead enjoyed by the Bombers. Barnes, Capuano, Heffernan to Buick. Buick kicks it forward. Archer. Gee, that ball is just not Glenn Archer's today. James Hird in hard at ground level. And the Bomber fans would be pleased with that, because surely the Kangaroos looked a chance to clear. But the desperation shown by the Essendon captain, he's not going to get a stat out of it, but just the fact that he's kept it within scoring range for the Bombers. They lead 14-5 to 6-3. Just under 4 minutes left in the first half.
Alessio, Blumfield over the top, Chandler belts back, Mercury, very cleverly done. He's running out of room, but he's not running out of ideas. Gets it to Masidi, hooks it back, almost to the front of the square. It's going to be a tough ball to mark. It's a free kick, I think, to the Bombers for push on Lucas.
Against Jason McCartney. He's not too happy with it, but gee, a lot of them misjudged that high ball, didn't they? We saw Matthew Capuano run right underneath the ball. He was the high flyer that got nothing but air. He runs into the back of Scott Lucas, Jason McCartney.
Unusual change happening, boys. More clocked on for Lloyd.
Scary when that happens, when Lloyd comes off, isn't it?
And Burton on for Capuano.
So Lucas kicks his second. You know that old terminology, it's raining goals? I think this is what they mean.
Well, we saw Dennis Pagan virtually berating his players at quarter time because the floodgates opened in the first quarter. They had 9 goals kicked against them. They've had another 6 to date in the second quarter, and his message is falling on deaf ears.
Inside 50 in this second term. Essendon have gone in 22 times to 8.
It's just total domination.
Yes, Dennis, there are a few queries, aren't there? Scoreboard, just playing, statistics. How do you stop this champion Essendon team, who are so desperate to overcome that disappointment from last year? I'm sure that must drive every one of them, right from the chairman Graham McMahon all the way down to the boot stutter. And this afternoon they're just taking one more step closer. Kicking it forward there was Heffernan, wide to left half forward. Spillage long. Mercury, back him, back him, back him. He goes in and makes an absolute living certainty of it. No, he's hit the post. He threw his arm up in the air. Maybe, oh dear.
He was trying to block the goal up.
I think he was probably frustrated because he went all the way in to make a living certainty of it.
You know, once he decided to run this far in, he probably then kicks it a yard or two early. He could have run right in and made no mistake about it. You'll see a player coming in from his right, but look, he can see it all the way. He could have run another couple of steps. He can't believe it.
He did think it was a goal, but it must have just scraped the goal post, and the goal umpire very quickly on the scene. Hird receiving from Barnes. Archer, is it? Just watching the umpire there, the crowd screaming maybe for a 50-metre penalty. Hird goes to Carousella. Chopped off for the Kangaroos though. Chance here for Chandler. Chandler kicks a little blindly. Bounce was kind for Carey. Away from Fletcher. That could have nearly been kicking in danger. Gathered by King. King kicks towards full forward. Racing back is Harvey and Buick. Hey, Darren Buick, you're a veteran. You're not supposed to outrun the youngster like that. And he forces a boundary throw in. 96-39, 2 minutes left in a magnificent first half exhibition by the Bombers. 15-6 to 6-3. They lead by in excess of 9 goals.
I think they might get a cheer at half-time when they go off the Bombers. Just wait for it. Colbert hit it on the head. Masiti, who's had...
he's been brilliant. 19
possessions. And, boy, they have had some stars, but he's right up there near the top, if not their best in this first half, though Hird has kicked 5. It's pretty hard to take it off him. McKernan started so promisingly, but it was an early burst, short-lived. They need him and Carey to do something exceptional here, just to maintain some respectability. Fletcher comes away, kicks Slews off. Blakey and Blumfield running hard, and a boundary throw-in. It's no system today for the Kangaroos. Nothing working for them. All the matchups seem to be wrong because they're being slaughtered all around the ground now. Barnes and McKernan. You'd be asking all about their pride at half-time, you think, Dennis Pagan. Well, Brilliant, wasn't it? On the up to Blumfield, to Buick, cut off by Lucas, probably meant for Mercury. Good handball by McCartney, who's been a real trier. Bell back to Cochrane, back to Bell. Hasn't stopped trying, kicks into the centre. They've got a bit of a chance here. Martin, he's got Archer out wide. Blake will go to him now, sweeps the handball to Glenn Archer. He just can't find the footy today. Does now, little one down the line, finds Harvey. Late goal would be a small mercy, but it would mean something. Harvey decides to go with a long one. They're looking for Carey maybe to take a mark. He can't. Alessio gets down there. He's almost disheartened, the King, isn't he? They've almost got him at a point where he must feel so frustrated.
Well, he's just getting crowded. He doesn't have a clear run at the ball, and it doesn't look as though he has much spring in his step when he's trying to jump for those marks. That's the problem. We know he's had a bit of a groin injury.
He has a quality opponent, Dustin Fletcher.
Done his job well today, Dustin.
My word, he's a very disciplined player and a very important cog in this Essendon lineup. Heffernan kicks the ball to the wing. Wallace, but left alone for Blumfield, just forcing a boundary throw in. Colbert was in there for the Kangaroos, just getting a hand to it and knocking it clear into the last half a minute before the long break. What can the Kangaroos do to stop this mighty Essendon machine? Mercedes again, run down on this occasion by Chandler. He's got the ball. Bell gives away a little bit of ground. A free kick was paid to the Kangaroos, but advantage awarded to John Blakey. Kicks it towards half forward. Comes back in the direction of Harvey. He goes across the half forward line. Pickett may have had a chance to take the mark, but the siren sounding. And Bruce, there it is for you. The ovation is there, and they're on their feet, the fans, acknowledging a magnificent first half by Essendon. 15 goals, 696 to 6-3-39. So the margin is 57 points in favour of Essendon at the long break.
They led by 54 in round 13. At half-time, they led by 57 today.
Essendon get the first start to the second half.
So the second half about to start. Almost a 10-goal margin here. The Bombers 15-6 to 6-3. McKernan, as he was at the first bounce. Let's see if he can be as effective. He does get the tap. 17 clearances out of the centre to 3 in the first half, and now it's 18 to 3 as Solomon goes to half forward. Lloyd, as he's done all day, bringing Martin well up the ground. Little toe poke to the pocket, runs onto it, gets it back towards Hurd. Pickett hard at Hurd, so good to see Pickett back. Mercury brilliant to Long. Long sweeps a handball to Lloyd. Lloyd hooks it back and kicks another one, and he's closing in on 100. Just rewind the tape and start it all over again. Didn't we see this in the first half?
Well, if we knew that the Kangaroos needed a good start, the one thing we knew they didn't need was Essendon to kick a quick goal early on and just pick up where they left off.
But what about the factor here that they've just kept it alive?
Yep.
You know, I mean, you probably think that there's an excuse here for the ball to go out of bounds.
Yeah, a couple of things I noticed there. Byron Pickett wasn't running with the same freedom, didn't attack it with the same ferocity. Look, he's having a dip, but he is carrying an injury, and that's affecting him. And Matthew Lloyd, once the handball came from Michael Long, it looked like he was cornered, and he just produced a beautiful snap basically straight over the top of his head. 11
possessions to Matthew Lloyd, 3 goals. And Mickey Martin, 8 possessions, his immediate opponent. 16-6 to 6-3. It's in excess of 10 goals. It's becoming embarrassing for the Kangaroos, and they just have to put their heads down and work very, very hard. Wellman, Ramanauskas, pretty hard when you're playing against real quality. Out wide, Mercedes. He had a possession in the first centre clearance.
As he played a game.
Well, he just keeps getting near the football, and when he gets near it, he gets it. Caracella had a terrific first term. Straightens up and then hooks the ball a little bit towards the half-forward area. Long, here's another one. Heffernan, get into the action. Chris Heffernan, hit the post.
Interesting to see John Blakey has started back on James Hurd this quarter. Glenn Archer is actually lined up at full forward for the Kangaroos. Dean Wallace is picking him up.
And boys, I'm sure Dennis Pagan had a lot to say to his charges at half-time. The Bombers were in position ready to start the second half, and the Kangaroos hadn't even hit the track.
Gee, not bad when you've 2 of your key playmakers in the 22 home and home. The 2 Johnson boys are both warming the bench at the moment. Abraham kicks across that half-back line. McCartney takes the mark, looks to run away, then hooks the ball in towards the McKernan. McKernan from the wing, after one bounce, goes short, too short. Wallace, Archer grabbed by the jumper, still Archer. Now Hardwick to help out Wallace. Hardwick across that full-back line, and the Bombers will go down the ground on this side.
Buick on the end of it. He's got a lot of options in front of him, and he squares it up to Mercedes. Grant over the mark. Mercedes goes down the line. Abraham cuts it off with a bounce. Looks up. There's not much to go to. He's going to have to centre it and go short. It's a very lazy kick in the end and puts Colbert, who's had a horror day, under the gun. Buick. Good tackle by Grant. Back to Abraham. Abraham's little kick to Bell. Bell at about 70 metres. They're making heavy weather to Harvey. It's like a steeplechase at Flemington on a heavy day. Just can't get to the line.
And we've just seen a couple of their more skillful players in Winston Abraham and Brent Harvey just totally miss targets.
Would there be an instruction maybe that they've got to try and look for the short kicks by the look of the way they've started this?
Well, maybe they can break play up that way, but you've got to hit them, Robbo.
Yeah, you do too, yeah.
Gee, Robbo, for 8 years have been going the other way, haven't they?
Yep. Carousella, Fletcher. High kick by Dustin Fletcher outside the defensive 50. McCartney, his body language pretty good. His attempt there at a short pass missed its target by a big margin. Long, look at the turnover, the efficiency of the Bombers. Hardwick, that kick not so good. Stevens back into the middle, coughs it up. Hardwick, Pickett, well done Hardwick. Then the hand pass wasn't quite as effective as he would have desired. A contest around the middle of the ground. David King, who kicked 3 goals in the first term. Heffernan's dispossessing there. Colbert went in hard to try and just lock the ball up at half forward for the Bombers. Succeeds in doing just that. And the umpire will call for a bounce. Bomber fans have had plenty to cheer about. 16 goals so far in the game. Heading for maybe 30 goals in a final, which would be just a rare feat on its own, I would think. Bounce of the ball at half forward. McCartney beaten for it by Solomon. Over the top there, Abraham, hand pass. Looked out wide and found Bell. Bell's got no one to kick to. They're all one-on-ones. Now with the left, he goes to the second one-on-one, and Fletcher, who has completely outpointed Carey. The pressure from the Kangaroos down the field doesn't help Wayne Carey much. Colbert's kick out wide. Carey lumbering, Fletcher plays the percentages. Dustin Fletcher, for a big tall, is just so agile.
Oh, look, he's very spry. Wayne Carey's not moving well, but the fleet foot of Dustin Fletcher, a big bloke, he covers the ground particularly well, doesn't he?
Heffernan out of the air. Might be a free kick here against Fletcher for shepherding on Carey.
Just his 4th kick, Bruce.
And a couple of them have been free kicks, and it's a lazy kick by Carey to Wellman. And back to Mercedes. And is it a free kick, I think, for hanging on and going to Wellman? Boy, what a contrast. Carey with that graphic we showed in his qualifying finals at the start of the show today, the match. Marked by Fletcher. Out wide to Blumfield. I think there's a free kick somewhere, and it's
right
down,
up here.
It's against David King for hanging on in the centre square.
He's actually been reported too, boys.
They've got a fleeting second. How do you rate Fletcher's game? Bearing in mind that the kicks coming in aren't easy for the champion forward for the Kangaroos, Wayne Carey.
He's done a very good job. He's just done what he's had to do, Robbo, with no fuss.
So King might have been reported. Got no idea what for. Solomon, did you see anything, Aussie?
No, I didn't, but he's definitely had his number taken, boys.
Pick it wide to make peace now. Short McKernan, he's got to go to him, and then Archer's on his own if he can look up in a hurry.
Off the mark quick.
He hasn't been able to get it on. And the weight of numbers are with the Bombers, so he switches the play, and Grant's taken a good mark. Not the first time that he's taken a terrific mark in that position today. The other time, though, he was playing down back.
The reason I ask you about Fletcher, I think he is such a key in their lineup. When he's missing or he struggles a little bit, they do struggle. Their defence, a lot of their attacking moves start from across there, that half-back and full-back line, and he's such an integral part of it.
Well, can he find the distance here, Shannon Grant? 52 metres out. It's floating there. He's got it. It's a goal. Well, from the Kangaroos' point of view, you hope it's the first of many.
Not a lot of noise happening around the crowd, is there? I think they are resigned to the fact that this is going to be a pretty big Bombers win. It's just a matter of what the Kangaroos can produce in this second half to indicate whether they can go any further in this finals campaign. I mean, in the next few weeks, this could have a very telling effect on exactly what they do next week, the Kangaroos.
Well, big gap between goals for the Kangaroos. They kicked their 6th goal at the 14-minute mark of the second term. They've just got their 7th through Shannon Grant. Colbert kicks it forward. Archer and Wallace. Can they get there? No, the ball bouncing agonisingly away from the players contesting the mark, and through for behind to the Roos. Kicked in by Fletcher. Hardwick accepts in the right back pocket. He in turn can go short, and well done by Caracella. Confronted by King, but able to control the ball. 15 possessions to Caracella. Out wide Wallace, in turn Buick. Buick looks and then delivers towards the wing. Blumfield. Speak about the rating of the players. Gee, there is no such thing, is it? They're nearly all deserving of very, very high ratings, the Bombers. Lloyd and the full forward line. Johnson, here's a goal. Long. Michael Long. Thank you, Michael, for coming. That was clinical stuff by the Bombers. It took the Kangaroos some physical effort to get their 7th goal through Shannon Grant, quickly answered by just some clean gathering and possession of the ball by the Bombers, ending in a goal to Long.
And if you look at the body language of the two sides, it's extremely difficult to think that there's going to be any other result different from a total washout here. I mean, they just look like they're going to steamroll right over the top of the Kangaroos, the Bombers.
So 17-7 to 7-4. And they just march on, don't they? Grant out of the centre. King's little give missed the target. Heffernan, Grant hard at Buick, but he can't get him. And Masiti finds a way. And then Jason Johnson, you reckon he'll play a big second half, to Caracella, to Solomon. Doesn't quite take control, was running hard. Stevens' hip and shoulder was pretty good. Belted away by McCartney. Masiti goes for it, wobbles it, floats it, and puts it through again.
Jack Freedy's playing one of the best games I've ever seen him play. He's doing it all out here today. He's winning the hard ball out of the middle. He's linking around the ground, and he's also pushing forward when he can, and he's kicked his 3rd goal of the day. This is just an exceptional performance. He's had 27 possessions already and kicked 3 goals. And for mine, he is by far and away the best man on the ground.
I don't think we give points for classical kicks.
Oh, it
but
doesn't
who cares,
matter how it goes through, Robbo, does it?
Joe wouldn't be worried about it. Neither would the Essendon coaching staff, because the Bombers have gone marching into the 3rd term, already kicking 3 goals to 1 so far. And they go away again through Heffernan. That statistic of centre clearances, it just keeps mounting for the Bombers. McCartney striving hard for the Kangaroos, goes out wide. Grant missed it. In went Blumfield. Did he kick it out on the full? No, he didn't. And it will be thrown in just forward of centre wing, favouring Essendon.
Do you remember when they had the Swan scun and they took Mercury off early in the first week of the finals? I reckon they'll want to play this game out hard, the Bombers, today.
Oh, yes, you can. I think you can make the teams watching feel a little intimidated by a performance. Even the other ones that are still in it that are going to be watching, I'm sure, this performance. Ramanauskas, look at this. Have a look at that. Oh, that needs no description. And Caracella has marked Ramanauskas. Sensational. Caracella can go to Wallace. Wallace in the middle of the ground can go over the top. No, he's going to show us the Dean Wallace show. And kicks it down the throat of David King. King out wide. Archer is on his own. He's got quite a deal of space in front of himself. After one bounce, delivers into the pocket. Carey gets rid of Fletcher. Carey from 50. Hooks the kick in towards half forward. Hardwick couldn't take the mark in front of McKernan. Motlop, left foot snapshot. Bell. Peter Bell. No, taken by Ramanauskas. I'm getting a little excited here, calling Ramanauskas. Johnson has marked the ball inside his defensive 50. They just have contributors all over the field.
And Robbo, you mentioned the word intimidation. One thing we have to remember, the Bombers aren't doing this against the bottom of the ladder side. They're actually doing this against the reigning premier. So this display is just awesome, and they're sending out a clear message to every other side in the competition so far.
Fair point, Richard. 115 to 46, 69 points the margin in favour of the Bombers, and we're about 13 minutes into the third term.
Lucas and McKernan slapped out by Barnard. Harvey close to the line and then keeps it close. Bell and Motlop, and Ramanauskas, good mark by Bell, was going to go but then ran over the line.
Actually, Motlop didn't do such a bad job to keep Ramanauskas out of that then.
So Bell tucked away here. They're really testing both the angle and the distance. He decides to go to the front of the square and want a mark from Carey. Not quite. Shannon Grant. Good tackle by Fletcher. There's so much of Inspector Gadget in that fella, isn't there? He just can get those long arms out. He's a remarkable player.
He effected the spoil on Carey and then went after the smaller player when he crumbed it.
And kept the tackle on him, didn't he?
Yep.
Front spot, Wellman, belted away by Solomon. King in the pocket. He's kicked 4 goals. He might have got 5. That's a great goal. He's kicked 5.
And Bruce, he's kicked 5 out of 8.
With a solo effort, isn't it?
It is a terrific performance by a midfielder.
See, the other thing that worries me about the Kangaroos, we knew they went in tall. They had the 3 bigs in McKernan, Capuano and Burton. If you look at John Barnes, has basically covered the 3 of those by himself. Barnes has had 13 possessions and 6 marks. And those 3 players, Capuano, McKernan and Burton, have had a total of 14 possessions and 7 marks between the 3 of them.
Well,
Gee, it's a lone hand, isn't it?
Very interesting that 1 up against 3. And he's very competitive, John Barnes, statistically, and he's having certainly an impact around that centre bounce. He's players at ground level, the Heffernan, the Carosella, the Mercedes, certainly Smoke and Joe. On this occasion, the Kangaroos will get clear, and they will. This is their most effective centre clearance. David King towards the goal square, mark taken by McKernan, and it all came about because they broke from the centre bounce.
One of the few clear centre clearances they've had, actually a clean tap down to, I think it might have been Harvey or Bell who handballed to King, and off he went, drove the ball forward, and McKernan had run down into space, and as we just mentioned, they just haven't got enough out of their big blokes, the Kangaroos. Johnny Barnes coming off for a well-deserved spell.
McKernan trying to kick his first, and the Kangaroos' 9th goal, he succeeds. First goal for Corey McKernan in this game, 18-7 to 9-4. So 57 points the margin now in favour of Essendon with 10 minutes left of the third term.
Wouldn't have put 2 together for a while, would they? Be a long time, I reckon.
They just need to try and establish a little bit of momentum, just try and get a run on and kick 3 or 4 goals.
So Barnes having a spell. So it's the first time they've kicked 2 in a row, the Kangaroos, since very early in the first quarter. 18-7 to 9-4. So back inside 10 goals. Hurd's in the centre square now for the Bombers. Mercedes, now Hurd to Carosella. To Buick. They've all contributed. Alessio's just come off the bench, gets his hands on it. They'll all be hungry, these fringe players, if I dare call them that. Jason Johnson to Barnard, goes a bit far to Buick, puts him under the pump. Jason Johnson, he's strong, but he's got a couple of good tackles on him. Well done, Pickett, and also Makepeace, and they hold him up.
Just a little overuse then, wasn't it?
They haven't done it too often, Robbo.
No, it's been a great exhibition.
So about 40 metres from goal. Double the score, basically. Getting dark here. Can the Kangaroos play themselves into any sort of form, thinking about next week? They will be playing Hawthorn, you'd reckon, for sure.
Yeah, when there's a big margin like this, Bruce, I think all Dennis Pagan would be saying is we can't undo what's happened already. What we have to do is try and win a quarter. Just try and win this particular passage of play.
Break it down. Yep. Make it manageable.
9 minutes left in the term. The bounce at half forward long. Great perception there. Lloyd just lobs it up in the goal square. Can there be a streaky? Yes. Have a guess. It's Blumfield.
He is such a handy type of player to have. He can play in the midfield, he can play down back if need be, and he can play as a marking forward. He is just an exceptional aerial marker of the ball. I mean, for a bloke his size, he just takes so many overhead marks in packs.
And he goes back and kicks the goal. Well, Jason, I think early in his career, when he was awarded the number 32 Guernsey, which was held in, I would suggest, very high esteem at Bomberland, there was a lot resting on the shoulders of Justin Blumfield.
Yep.
I think everyone thought that he could play, but gee whiz, he's starting to deliver very consistently now.
It's a great mark.
Terrific mark, yep.
They're relentless, aren't they? It's back to 10 goals and Hurd in that centre square, because before he went in there, the Kangaroos would run a couple out. But he gets his hands on another one. And then toe pokes. Bell was a bit stiff. Terrific handball out by Johnson to Carousella at about 55 metres. Goes to full forward. Lloyd's a chance. He's got it. He's closing on 100. That's the subplot for the second half.
Against Heffernan.
Free kick. Well, Heffernan, they'll be disappointed. I was getting excited, thinking about Lloyd maybe going to 100 goals. Good mark by Pickett. Little give. Push forward by Harvey, but straight to Fletcher.
Important, the pressure was applied to Harvey again.
Wide to Carousella. He's got Lucas short. Lucas will run on to it. The bounce, not bad. Wellman running on. Little kick, okay. Alessio's there. Wellman runs on into Stevens. He's had a quiet one. Lloyd goes now. Can Wellman find him? Yes.
He's just a good player. Yeah. It's amazing. If you actually watch Matthew Lloyd on the lead there, he realised that Mick Martin was pretty close, so he changed the line of his lead and just leant on him to use his momentum to push him clear again.
Oh, you would have loved
just
that.
The timing of it was great.
It was terrific, wasn't it?
He kicked a goal from tight in his pocket early on in the first quarter, so we know he's been kicking pretty well. Let's hope he can thread it through and make up for that free kick that was resulted in a mark being taken away from him only moments ago.
Well, he's kicked 97. Only 2 other Bomber players have kicked 100 in their history, and none under Kevin Sheedy. It's not going to be a goal. It's coming away and behind. So 3-2 today for Lloyd. You reckon he's going to get it sometime in the next month, don't you?
I think what he does terrific too is he just moves around so much, doesn't he? I mean, he takes a full opposition fullback, covers quite a few metres in a game of football.
He racks up amazing possessions without kicking a lot of goals.
So this kick in will be taken by Glenn Archer. He's right in front of the member stand here at the MCG. Goes short, finds Colbert. Nothing really all that exciting about what's happening as far as the Kangaroos are concerned. Certainly the scoreboard just 9 goals for, and that kick is mocked up by Steve Alessio. He'd be chafing at the bit too, wouldn't he, after spending so much time on the bench. Another strong mark. This time it's Lucas. They've got so many options. Can go into the centre half forward area. Solomon couldn't take it. Look at Carousella. Hand pass. Shot at goal by Barnard. Smothered off the boot. Rebounds. Hurd. Back to Carousella. Handball wide. Alessio making Makepeace look a little inferior there. The kick towards full forward. Spills to Long. To Lloyd. Matthew Lloyd. Goal! Well, the players that are fit sitting on the interchange bench, the players that are fit that weren't selected in the 22 would just be absolutely dying to get out there, pull an Essendon Guernsey on and get into this action.
I'll tell you what, Robert, Michael Long's just coming on from having a spell now. For a bloke that used to be one of the premier wingmen in the game, he's incredibly creative now as a permanent forward. Yep. And he's given a couple of handballs and link passages today that have resulted in goals.
Gee, that doesn't happen too often. Mickey's sitting it out. He's had a fair few injuries this year. He missed a number of games until the last week or two. But he missed 6 before last week, in fact. 28 to 9-4. So Lloyd's on 98. Burton, well done. Bell running hard at centre half forward. Bangs to full forward. Solomon back. Gee, too easy. Takes the mark and then brings it out to Hurd. Kicked 5 goals in the opening half. Played some unforgettable football and is now up the ground. Getting some match practice into those legs. Alessio, and a boundary throw-in. It is going to be a hard team to break into Essendon in the next 3 matches, isn't it? Or 2 matches, or whatever they've got in front of them.
Well, you mentioned how productive the bench players were, Robbo. That's because if they don't come on and do something, they won't be here next week. They're playing for their futures.
That's a fair point,
They all want to be part of the premiership side.
Mark Johnson, let's hope he's not too badly injured, because he deserves to be in the action in the finals. Buick, clever. Got it to Blumfield. Floater. Pretty good there, I thought, McCartney. Stevens, well done, Lucas. They're on here. Lucas chips. No, McCartney's second effort good. And then Lucas again. McCartney threw it away. Blumfield gets it to Masiti, to Jason Johnson. Loads it up. It's a chance. It's through again. They can't do anything wrong.
Bruce, I think right now you better start looking up your record scores and margins for these type of games, because the Bombers, they look capable of kicking 30 goals today.
Well, you asked the question, has anyone kicked 30 goals in a final? We're going to find out. It's very doubtful. Not done before. You sure, Robbo?
I wouldn't bet you, Bruce, if you were
No,
sort of
I think you're right.
I asked this question in the media room at half-time.
I think it's 28.
Because I felt that 15 goals at half-time, and the way they were playing, they didn't play sensational football in the second term, but they still kicked 6.
I think it's 28-6 Carlton in that famous grand final against Richmond, wasn't it?
Masidi again gets the ball to half-forward. They're going to swoop on it. Moorcroft, he's a natural left-footer, but he kicks it into the pocket. Well done, Martin. Punching it away from Matthew Lloyd on this occasion. And we will have a boundary throw-in in the right forward pocket.
Essendon's record's 28-6 in a prelim final against Collingwood when John Cale was coaching them in '84. And the all-time record in any final, we think, might be 28-9 Carlton in that famous one with Richmond.
Well, they've got 21 goals at this stage with 4 3/4 minutes left in the third term. They'd have to get 1 or 2 more in this term to get close to it. Look at Masidi. Lucas pumping it forward. Mark, yes. Alessio too tall. It certainly is a credit to the way they've kept on selecting the team to keep them a little hungry for the footy, isn't it?
And the amazing thing is, with a couple of such regular key forwards, with your Herds and your Lloyds and your Lucases there's still so many other goal-kicking options that can just chime in. I mean, the opposition is so worried about the key forwards that we have to cover. How can you cover all of them?
A look at what is confronting Stephen Alessio. He makes no mistake. The Bombers have got their 22nd. Alessio's first goal for the match, 22-8, 140, 9-4, 58. Gee, it was a good kick coming in from Lucas. It certainly put enormous pressure. Burton not able to get back. Martin maybe a little concerned about where Lloyd was coming from. And Alessio, standing tall, took the mark and kicked the goal.
Gee, that says it all. The master coach, Dennis Pagan, who, and then Kevin Sheedy, who must be relaxed at this point. 22-8 to 9-4. I jokingly called them the Harlem Globetrotters at one stage this year. Perhaps the Dream Team is a better name for them at the moment. They seem to have it all. They've still got to win a premiership. These wins will count for nothing unless they get that. But they're irresistible. They are brilliant. They're frightening at the moment. They are so good. Lucas written into the ground.
Oh, anyone else would have got a free kick then.
31 possessions now for Masidi. Simpson out wide. McKernan running hard. It's just that sort of day, isn't it? Alessio, still Alessio, breaks the tackle. Not a great kick, but Lucas will find Hurd if he wants him. Did well, actually, because he knew Hurd was under the pump. Hardwick in trouble, gone, gets it to Hurd. Hurd's clever. Handball misses, though. McKernan, it's a sloppy bit of play here. Wellman, Hurd's hurt himself. That is pretty important. Wallace goes down, he's in trouble. McKernan, Hurd's picked himself up. McKernan belts it forward. Ramanauskas, the only teenager out there. Masidi got a hand on it. Harvey belts it forward. Can it get a lucky bounce? It can't. Hurd's off the ground in a hurry. Watch for that Aussie. He's hurt himself, and Long's coming on.
Could he have copped a corky here on the left thigh?
Could have.
And Hardwick and Colbert just off the ball too. Watch here, he goes to ground, Jason, and you can't quite see the...
He's up and walking about.
Well, I think it may just be a corky. There's a contest in front of the Kangaroos goal. The kick came out to Long. He's got metres in front. Look at him trying to again set it up to Heffernan over the top. Gary Moorcroft. Little kick, unselfish Carosella.
He can play on.
Goes in, and this is absolutely rubbing salt into the wound.
I'll tell you right now, Blake Carosella, when he knew he could play on, he thought, I can kick a goal here. Then he saw Matthew Lloyd in the goal square and Mick Martin. He said, well, I'll just draw Mick Martin and handball over the top. But he's a crafty old stage of Mickey. He said, look, I know you're going to kick a goal, but it won't be my bloke that does it.
Gee, big stats here, Jason. Mercedes had 11 for the term and 31 for the game. Carosella's had 12 for the term, 24 for the game. Big individuals.
There's been some very impressive players, a long list of impressive players from the Bombers. James Hird warming up around the boundary. That's a very good sign. I mean, if it was a hamstring or a pulled muscle, you wouldn't think he would be jogging like that around the boundary.
Bruce, 296 possessions for Essendon, 181 for the Kangaroos. A big difference.
Oh, everything's a big difference, Robbo.
Yes.
Everything is a big difference.
Yes.
And boys, I think it's a significant factor that's come out of today's victory so far. Yes, Lloyd's kicked 4 and Hurst kicked 5, but they've had 12 individual goal kickers, so certainly there's some targets up forward.
It's a good point, Ozzy. Bell's kick inside the 50. Archer battling on. Fletcher to Jason Johnson, who's having a big third quarter. As you'd expect, he would have bounced back. He's got a player out wide in Buick. He's going to kick it to him now. Oh, this will be a goal. Buick, a bounce, sizes it up. He's let us down, has Boris. He would have been licking his lips, wouldn't he, Jace?
He certainly would have. It was a beautiful kick from Jason Johnson. He didn't have to break stride, and after getting dragged early, there's the greatest winning margin in the qualifying final, 99 points. He's had a very good quarter, Jason Johnson.
We're getting closer. It's 147 to 58, so we're around the 90 right now.
The problem that, from that point of view, that statistic that came up on the screen, is just where to North Melbourne the Kangaroos get any more than the 9 goals they've kicked so far. They've been outplayed for 3 terms. The kick into the goal square, that's been marked by Barnes.
Oh.
Now, see you later. See you later, Joe Mercedes. Now, Jason, he's played a great game. He's also kicked 4 goals.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Isn't it?
But I mean, the body language, they've stopped to a walk, the Kangaroos, and there is just a flood of Bombers coming forward. They are unmarked, there are loose players everywhere, and the Kangaroos defenders are just dropping their heads. They're saying, what's going on here?
I think with the mercy rules come on and Wayne Carey's left the ground, I think. He's on the bench. I think...
they're obviously saving him for next week. He can't do anything today. He's been well beaten. Maybe he has an injury that he's been carrying. We suspect he has carried one most of the year, but...
It's almost like it is the mercy rule for him, isn't it? I mean, he's talking to Dennis Bacon. His body language, it's just not Carey-like, is it? The lights are shining very brightly for the Bombers at the moment, but this is a very dark day for the Kangaroos. This is humiliating at the moment. You think they're trying their hardest. They probably are. They certainly did early, but they are just being carved. Buick to Longley, who's been so creative. He is a genius at work. To Moorcroft, they are just killing them off again. Another one. They're lining up.
Well, we spoke about that 30-goal barrier a moment ago. Bruce, all of a sudden, they've got their 25th on the board. This is just unbelievable. And the one thing I can notice, they've kicked 10 goals this quarter, which is the biggest output so far. But the one thing you do notice, with all the Bombers players flooding into the forward line now, what the Kangaroos defenders are doing, they're staying with their immediate opponent. They're so worried about their own opponent kicking a swag of goals on them, they're just staying on their own opponent, and the loose player that runs in virtually runs...
well, it's always numbers, isn't it?
They were running unpressured into the goal.
It's always numbers, isn't it? I mean, as I said earlier, when you get the ball, it's one thing, but when you've got in excess of, 1 or 2 targets, it's a big bonus. Well, the super coach, he's been referred to by, in many ways, Kevin Sheedy, but getting ready to address his players at 3/4 time of a qualifying final. Scoreboard showing 25-9 to 9-4. You haven't got too many problems. Keep a lid on it, I suppose, is the biggest problem.
He's going to unload one here.
McKernan from 50. goes back and delivers right to the line. It'll be taken away. They're lousy back there too. Heffernan goes out wide. Moorcroft getting a little bit of that footy. Oh, beautiful support running provided by Barnard. Not able to get past, so gave it back to Moorcroft, who stayed in the action, kicked it down the line. It bounces away from Jason McCartney. And there they are again, the Bomber fans, standing and in appreciation of another sensational quarter in which they kicked 10 goals. 9, 6 and 10. Kangaroos 3.
Oh, boy.
25-9 to 9-4.
I feel for this fella at the moment. He is a proud man. We had a nightmare at half-time. It's just got a little bit worse.
Gee. I don't think looking at that board's going to help too much either. He's had so many of his good players down and so many players around the ground getting beaten. What do you do?
Well, he won't shirk his task, that's for sure. But this is an extraordinary day. It really is. I mean, it is a slaughter, but it is an extraordinary day. We are seeing something unbelievable unfolding here. Everybody's going for the record books. The Bombers lead 25-9 to the Kangaroos 9-4.
All the dislocations vary. It can pop right out. It can only pop partially out. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for young Mark.
So the start of the last quarter here. Qualifying final weekend in Melbourne. What a buzz about this game. Alessio out of the centre. They'll have to turn the lights on, you'd think, soon. Hurd got a shove. Blakey's taken a mark. He's had a real quiet one, old Johnny. But he's not alone, I can tell you that. Mickey Martin wobbling it to centre wing. Burton, Alessio, to Buick, to Fletcher. Keeps it in. The bounce of the ball will be important. Simpson attacked it. Ooh, scruffy old kick. May find it's taken. No, Blumfield's taken a terrific mark. It's a great mark.
19 possessions.
Out wide to Buick. Runs off Archer. Buick's done enough to make sure he'll be there. Come preliminary final weekend. He just kicks to the space. Carousel a bit disorientated and Simpson runs back and takes the mark.
Well, Adam Simpson for the Kangaroos kicks it down towards half-back. Peter Bell has taken the mark. 25-9 to 9 goals for. Kangaroos just searching for their 10th goal. They'd do well if they could outscore the Bombers in this last term. Shannon Grant, familiar, left foot kick in towards half-forward, but a good mark. Standing his ground in front of Matthew Capuano was Michael Long. He can go to Ramanauskas, and that's the direction he goes in. Ramanauskas has got a little bit of space. Solomon running. Hand pass a little awkward for Solomon. Gathers. Well done there by Pickett. Runs from the middle of the ground. Kicks with the left. In towards full forward. No mark taken from behind by Capuano. Handball to Harvey. Harvey goes for goal. And has just missed off to the right.
Just Aussie, Carey, what's his status at the moment?
Yeah, look, it's quite obvious. We haven't had anything official from Kangaroos, but there's no doubt he's not 100% fit.
He's on the bench, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still on the bench now, Bruce. So it's really discouraging to see such a champion struggling like he is, but he's not 100% fit. No problems there.
So they have turned the lights on. Buick's kicks a good one to Solomon. They're still running hard, the Bombers. Solomon's kicked a half forward. Barnard did well and then releases Carosella, waiting for somebody. Little handball, a half a one to Johnson. Doesn't find Long, a bit untidy. Long's toe poke clever to Moorcroft. Lloyd needs 2 for 100. He's going to get one of them here.
I think now that the Bombers have everything under control, they'd love nothing better than to see Matthew Lloyd get his 100 out of the way now, because this is the sort of day where it's not going to have an impact. We might get players, fans running onto the ground, a stoppage in the game. It's not going to hurt them on a day like today now. Ideally, they'd love him to kick 2 goals minimum in this last quarter.
Big day in his career, do you think? The fact that he's been in the physical joust with Mickey Martin, who was always hard to beat, and he's come up trumps.
And to do it in a final.
Yep.
Well, he's going for a 5th goal. He kicked 5 goals in his last 2 finals last year, and he's got 5 and 99. It would cap off the perfect day for the Bombers. Forgetting Mark Johnson, that's the only little low light at the moment. His injury would just top off the perfect day.
It certainly would. Look, I'm a big fan of Matthew Lloyd's. He's such a hard worker. He's very professional. He's very down to earth. People have queried his output in big games, but we have to remember that he started very young. His last couple of finals have been good. This has been very good. He's against a formidable opponent, and he doesn't just kick goals, he creates them as well.
How about Michael Long's little, would you call it a soccer kick to Moorcroft?
He's clever.
Tell you what, he's done a few of them today.
But he controlled the oval ball. I don't know whether... I'll give him credit for it, Bruce. He did it very nicely. And Moorcroft to Lloyd for another goal to the Bombers. They'll go searching. No, they won't. It'll break down because the Kangaroos take possession. Abraham's kick. Oh, good mark. Well done, Archer. He's been out of sorts, Glenn Archer. And along with most of his teammates, they've been confronted by an absolute champion performance by the Bombers.
Gee, it was a very strange centre bounce, that last one. Matthew Burton seemed to sit down as he was going to run and jump for the ball at the ball-up.
Glenn Archer kicking from about 35 metres. Slide angle, lights on here. It's been a funny old day in Melbourne, very overcast. Archer goes for goal and hits the post.
That tells the tale, doesn't it? When you're having a bad day, that sort of thing happens.
First score for Glenn Archer after starting in defence. Had a spell up on the forward line. He's back there now. He's been on the bench. Dustin Fletcher to bring it back for the Bombers. 105 points is their lead, and Fletcher on this occasion goes well outside the defensive 50. Punch back close to that line where Pickett gathers, runs away from goal. Moorcroft, but he gets his kick away into the pocket, and the mark is taken there by Harvey. So Harvey, again, within scoring range, but a tight angle, much tighter than the one which confronted Glenn Archer a few seconds ago. They've only kicked 3 goals since midway through the second term. And this one has gone off to the right and hit the post.
2 in a row.
Brent Harvey, 1 goal, 3. You would have backed him in to kick multiple goals in this match, but gee, their opportunities have been few and far between. The highest score in any final. I was a little fortunate to be part of that, Bruce.
Beautiful tap by Buick.
They're 2 goals away from it too, as Moorcroft's running. Lloyd goes now. Could this be the 100th? Mickey goes early, belts it away. Well done. McCartney to the line.
Wasn't a good kick from Moorcroft coming in. He actually made a bit of space, needed the ball out in front, and he didn't get it. You can sense the crowd building up for it now, the expectation of Matthew Lloyd's 100th, his first 100-goal season. I'm sure we're going to see plenty more of them.
Deep in attack. Free kick, I think, to Spider. In fact, the advantage given to Bell. He's had a lot of it, 28 possessions. King, who was outstanding in the first half, he's kicked 5 goals. And he shouldn't be underestimated, his performance. He has been reported, we believe. Alessio Marks.
Yeah, I can confirm that, Bruce. Reported for striking.
Lucas takes them on, gets around, and then bangs it down the line. A one-on-one situation, not a good kick. Grant Simpson should maybe a free kick. No. Now Pickett, he's in trouble. He's gone. Gets it out. Long. Now Lloyd goes. Long chips it. He's got him.
Security guards there who are in their droves.
There isn't enough of them, Robbo.
They've come from everywhere in anticipation.
It doesn't matter how many there aren't enough.
Well, good on you, Matthew.
From everywhere, aren't they?
Well, let's hope he can...
Security guards ringing the oval.
Well, come on, Matthew, get the goal, eh?
Just 22 years of age.
History.
He's got it.
So much for the security, Rob. Severely outnumbered. Congratulations to Matthew Lloyd. That's a superb effort. Look at the recognition from all the fans. His teammates were the first to get there. They came from everywhere as well.
I've got a little interest. When I first started at Carlton in 1966, his father had a lot to do with me settling in there, John Lloyd, and he's got a couple of brothers who were pretty good footballers too. Yep. And I think it's just a credit to, he's got his feet firmly planted on the ground, he's got a terrific head on his shoulders, And wonderful parents, Matthew Lloyd.
What a great shot.
Yep.
That's it. Unbelievable. Imagine him in the middle of all that. He's just thinking, I've finally done it. This is incredible. The very first time that he's done it.
Tell you what, wouldn't be easy for the Kangaroos either. It just prolongs it a bit.
Exactly.
It just makes it a longer quarter. They're still coming.
See, the other thing is now the delay takes so long because all the fans get out there. All of a sudden, they're with their team. They're patting all their stars on the back. It's a stoppage that takes a heck of a long time.
Is there any sense to try and rope off the square at the end of the game after we see all these people on the ground now?
Exactly, Robbo.
That'll be a waste of time for sure.
Seems ridiculous, but you do wonder why they employed the security guards. They might have saved them money. I mean, just try straight past them. John Coleman's the youngest ever to kick 100 at 20 years and 300 days. Plugger was 21 and a bit. Lloyd is 22, but there's some great names that were younger. Coleman, Pratt, who did it twice, by the way, before he was 22. Kelvin Templeton, Ron Todd. Jeff Bletham was only 21. Coleman had done it twice before he was 22. Michael Roach is in there. Plugger, as I said, Larry Donahue. But, well, the world is at his feet. I mean, we're sitting alongside a bloke who kicked 1,254 goals. Robbo, Jason kicked it 5 or 6, I should know, Jace, off the top. But 5, 6 times he kicked 100 goals. And the first one is magical. And I reckon it's appropriate that it was Long who carved it and made it happen, because he has created so much today.
You can see the focus of his teammates had shifted the last 10 minutes. All of a sudden, they opened up the forward line and every kick was directed towards Matthew because they wanted him to get the 100. Look at that kick. He'll savour that memory for as long as he lives. And his teammates come from everywhere. Have a look at the joy. They're all sharing in it. He realises that they're responsible for it. I mean, he's finishing off their good work upfield.
You did the distraction out of the way for Sheedy and everyone too for the prelim final, wasn't it?
It has been the perfect day for the Bombers. They have reasserted their authority. I think they've shown everyone where the bar is now. And if you can jump this high, well, you can play us later on in the final series, but I don't think many of you can.
I think we're thinking about tomorrow a bit differently too, Carlton and Melbourne. We're thinking about 3 great teams. And look, there's Mark Johnson. And there are 3 great teams, and there's 3 big chances maybe, but boy, at the moment, if they put us... It's like going out and watching Might and Power do something today, isn't it? And win by about 15.
We probably thought maybe 8 weeks ago that everyone else was playing for second. And then in recent weeks, it started to even up a bit. The Bombers came down.
And the Blues were up.
Blues were up. The Demons have come up. But now we're playing for second again, because this is just... I've never seen anything like this, Bruce.
They've been absolutely brilliant, haven't they? Let's have a look at the 100th goal again. The first player under Sheedy to kick it.
Bit of a wobble of the kick. I don't think it was pure off the boot.
The stat that Richard Osborne mentioned, I think earlier in this quarter, that they've had a dozen goal kickers, is another very important aspect of their game. That you know, they just don't rely. I mean, on this occasion, it's James Hurd who's come back into the side and kicked 5. Matthew Lloyd 6, Mercedes 4 from the middle. And then a couple of contributors with 2, Lucas, Moorcroft and Caracella. And the list just goes on. I mean, they just keep bombing out of nowhere to kick a goal.
Well, before today, they had 7 players that kicked over 20 goals this season. I mean, they've got the depth as well as the heights. Do you reckon he was a bit nervous going back? I mean...
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he would have had a lot of things racing through his mind, and
there's the president, chairman of the club.
Knowing how level-headed Matthew is, he would have put it all aside and said, just do what I've been doing, kick through the ball. They do a good job, the boys in the coach. They get around you and they stop, because there's so many fans out there that just want to celebrate. They're jumping from 3 and 4 deep, trying to patch on the back, patch on top of the head, and it can actually get quite physical in there.
When I said that, a waste of time employing them, I meant that very... is he going off the ground, Lord?
It looks like it.
Is he leaving us, is he?
And I think he's gone. Once he does that, he's gone for good.
This is amazing, isn't it?
I think Caracella looked as if he was with him too.
So Lloyd's left the arena. So Kevin Sheedy says that's enough for today. What
rest those thumbs now for next week.
And left completely.
Well, they're big stakes here. They lost that final last year when they were expected to win. And there's huge stakes from an Essendon Football Club point of view. They must go all the way, and he's leaving no stone unturned to make sure that they do.
That's another first. He's kicked 100 and then exited the ground. I've never seen it.
not even to the bench, straight off the ground. just one point, because I better make it. The security guards do a great job. I was being facetious when I said those that are around the ground running on. I mean, we know they're coming on, but around the players, they do a superb job.
It does get very physical out there when you've got that many people just going berserk.
He's had a bad back, Fletcher. They're really keeping him warm here with a stretching.
Hey, what happens when his back gets fixed? Can he get any better? I mean, he's got a notch on his belt in the form of Wayne Carey.
We've seen some things here today that I certainly haven't seen a football match before. With Lloyd going straight from the ground. Now he comes back on.
Maybe they took him off just to clear the crowd from the arena a bit quicker. If he's not out there's no reason for the people to jump the fence. Well, there's two sides to every story, though, Bruce. I mean, we saw Matthew Lloyd, the joy of kicking his 100th.
I mean,
theoretically, I would say that he's left the ground. He's left the ground, hasn't he?
Yeah, but no one came on to replace him.
But the rule is there that if you leave the ground, you must come through the interchange bench.
Oh, but players cross the boundary line everywhere, though, Robbo.
Here's Carosella coming off now. And Hardwick on.
Spare a thought for Mick Martin, the man that has the 100th kicked on him. I mean, we know how much joy there is in a forward kicking them. It wouldn't be a great feeling having to stand there and watch the 100th go through.
The Bombers are 1 goal away from equalling the highest score ever kicked in any finals match. And Robbo did play in that game for Carlton in that grand final in '72. Moorcroft getting plenty of it.
I have a couple of dollars on the fact they'll break the record. There's 13.5 minutes left in the third term. McCartney tackled by Long.
It is the last quarter, Robbo.
Last quarter, sorry.
I hope it is anyway.
Well, I'm getting a little confused. We've lost a bit of time there, but I suppose we can spare a few seconds for a bit of chuckle there. Pickett kicks it, and Burton has marked. Holding the ball in the air. I don't quite know whether that's the sort of thing that we can do as Kangaroos right now. 9-7-61 in, 3.5 quarters. Gee, was that a throw? And the umpire allowed play to go on. It came from McKernan. The kick in towards full. Oh, Barnard nearly took a screamer. Handball to Blumfield. Blumfield wide. Chances with Ramanauskas.
Mercedes in the middle.
Handball over the top to Mercedes. Wallace providing the lead. He goes in that direction. Wallace at the full. Little hand pass out wide, Long. Left foot, snapshot at goal. Buick onto it. Handles it. Handles it. And dear me.
In the end, that was almost something spectacular, but he probably could have picked it up and run in and kicked the goal. He'd done the fancy stuff first by flicking the ball back in.
Look at the look on his face.
Look at that. It fooled Clayton there, and he probably could have picked it up and run in, but he thought, well, I've gone this far. Let's see if I can kick goal of the century.
And I think he might have stubbed the 8-iron behind the golf ball too when he kicked it. Kangaroos trying to get the ball away from their half-back line. The mark is taken here by Stevens. He looks to play on. Kicks a wobbly old kick into the middle. Gathered by Motlop. Pressured by Ramanauskas. I'll tell you what, this bloke's got some games of footy in front of him, hasn't he?
Please.
That should have been a free kick. Buick overruns it. Back goes Simpson. Simpson's kick in towards half-back proper. Gathered by Colbert. Gets it away to Clayton. Clayton goes out wide. And the Kangaroos are away on centre wing through Harvey.
Goes in short to centre half forward. Well done at the back by Solomon. Heffernan. They've got plenty of time. Alessio can go wide, and he does. And finds arguably the best man on the ground in Joe Mercedes. He's probably played the game of his life. Long has been superb. They're lining up down the side for him. Moorcroft's been busy. Quickly plays on to Ramanauskas, who's run on beautifully. He deserves a goal. He's 40 metres out, keeps it low, doesn't get there. Wallace is there in the goal square with McCartney. They're trying to get a handle on it. Lloyd's there. Also Martin. Wallace, brilliant. Hardwick. It hit the post, I think. It does. How do you stay hungry if you're the Bombers? I guess they think we could kick 30. 68,443, the official attendance. They seem to be as sprightly as ever, don't they, after all of that?
No, I think they're really savouring the day now.
Well, I guess it's one thing to just get yourself to this position, but then it's another thing to try and keep up that momentum. And it's just dropped off a little bit, particularly since Matthew Lloyd registered his 100th goal. Good mark taken by Colbert in front of Wellman. Sean Wellman, 15 possessions, but disciplined in defence for the Bombers. They work industriously all over the ground, do the Bombers. Stevens kicks the ball to full forward. Mark taken by Barnard. How do you keep this bloke out of the 18? Barnard across the full back line. Mercedes, the architect. Joe Mercedes out wide.
Gee, he's used the ball well today, Joe.
Long is on. No, he's not. Ignore that. Go into the middle. Blumfield. Options everywhere. Handball over the top. Hardwick wants to kick a goal. Left foot kick towards full forward. Wallace a little push out. The ball at the back. Lloyd, 101.
Biggest score ever too, Robbo.
Seven goals to Lloyd. 101 for the season.
And now, Bruce, that is officially the highest score ever in a final, is it?
Any final.
Gee, one of many records the Bombers have broken this year.
Well, Lloyd kicked 7. Jezza kicked 7 the day that Carlton had kicked the record score. And now this is the highest score in any final in over 100 years of VFL AFL footy. That's any final. 28-10. They've kicked the last 10 goals of the match, the Bombers. It was 18 goals to 9. The last goal for the Kangaroos halfway through the third quarter, the 15.5-minute mark. Bell. Still Bell with a little one. Goes to half forward. Oh, terrific mark from Romanowskis. Well, I guess Hazelby will get the Norwich Rising Star, but this bloke is eligible, having played only a few games before this season. He'll be a very good runner-up if he doesn't get it. Simpson's kick inside to centre half forward. Wellman taps it down. Can King kick 6 goals? Hooks it back. He's kicked 6.
Been a great performance from David King. I mean, he's going to probably be the only Kangaroo that can really walk off this ground with his head held high. He unfortunately hasn't received much assistance from his teammates. I'm not saying they haven't tried, but they just haven't been able to get anything out of the game. Peter Bell has tried hard. He's had an interesting duel with Blake Caracella for much of the match, but David King is reached new heights today. I mean, 6 goals, I'm sure that'd be a personal best for him, and as an on-baller, that's an exceptional effort.
Yeah, 6 out of 10, Jason. Just 10 goals, 7 up against 28 goals, 10. So, gee, huge margin, isn't it? 111 points. King kicks it forward for the Kangaroos to within goal-scoring distance. But there it is again, the preparedness to run to the contest by the Bombers, taking a punt, and that was Lucas. Got the ball to Moorcroft. Moorcroft with impressive stats, 17 to be exact. Kicked a couple of goals too. Blumfield goes across the centre of the ground where Mercedes should mark and does. Could have nearly given the hand pass away, but goes back, maybe looking for Lloyd to add to his personal tally. Ignores that and then goes in the direction of Wallace. Wallace and Martin. Cochrane up high, couldn't take the mark. Kick goes out wide, close to the boundary line. Makepeace gathers just inside the boundary line. Nearly run down by Moorcroft. Hand passes to his own advantage and then runs on. Kicks the ball low. This is Grant. Shannon Grant in towards half forward. Getting back. Oh, well done. Wellman. Mercedes. Gee, he was in the middle of the ground kicking it forward a minute or so ago. Solomon. Blumfield. Blumfield to Hardwick. Hardwick has paid the mark about 65, 70 metres from goal. He'll go back and go in the direction of dive. No, couldn't quite get there, Matthew Lloyd. McCartney taken by Buick. Left foot snapshot at goal by Buick. It's another one. Well, it's taken a while for Darren Buick. Essendon have kicked 29 goals. With 7.5 minutes left in the game, Darren Buick kicks his first goal.
He's one of the Bomber veterans that's really been in and out of the side a little bit this year, but he's gleaned 20 possessions out of today's effort, kicked himself a goal, and I think he's a pretty handy player to have coming off the bench.
He's in next week. He's in the grand final, that's for sure. If they make it. I think they might. Boy, oh boy, we're in new territory, aren't we? We're going to see a side kick 30 goals in the final for the first time ever. Surely. King. Talk about a lone hand. Goes to full forward. McKernan front spot. Fletcher to Solomon. Somebody told you tonight the King kicked 6 goals for Kangaroos. You say, oh yeah, Wayne had another good game, did he? But Barnard's been terrific. He's been flattened as it down the ground. Moorcroft, no. Comes to Bell. Bell short to Clayton. Boy, people are, not Bell, but some people are bobbing up that we haven't seen for a long time. McKernan, good mark. Front spot to Blakey. Will he use Cochrane? Has he had a kick today? He's had one. That's his second. Floating it towards the pocket. And Solomon takes a clever mark. Smothered. Hurd waits for it. Still with Hurd. See what a first half he played. Still with Hurd. Goes short. Lucas. Comes out to Mercedes. To Buick. Longs in the middle. Finds him. Over the top. Moorcroft. Now he goes to Lloyd.
40 touches to Mercedes.
Could Lloyd... Unbelievable. Could Lloyd be the man to kick the 30th? It would be appropriate, wouldn't it?
It certainly would be. You're talking about 40 possessions for Joe Mercedes, 9 centre clearances as well.
Lloyd's kicked 7.
Oh.
I tell you what, it's a big kick from out
He
there.
made very good contact. That's hit nearly the top of the post from outside 50.
Right up high, wasn't it?
Well, all we're waiting now for 133 points. We're at 118 right now.
So they're probably 3 goals away.
We've got the 30-goal barrier and the 200-point barrier to look at.
There he is again. Gee, he had his name written on that. He came from about 4th in line. Buick from 50 metres. Darren Buick! Goal, is it? I don't think that's been touched. Another one to the Bombers. Well, the awareness of Lloyd down here, probably thinking maybe if he went back to have a shot, and he spotted Darren Buick on the run. Go now, Darren. Slip through here.
It's a good kick too, Robbo.
You can kind of understand right now why Terry Wallace flooded with the Bulldogs. This is what they're capable of.
Well, they must be very satisfied, that is for sure. It's impossible to feel and say what Dennis must be thinking. It's a bit like seeing Bob Beamon in Mexico City right now, I reckon. 30 goals in a final, can you believe it? Against the reigning premier, the team that has been the best team of the 90s. Jason Johnson kicks inside the 50. Makepeace was hard at it. Stops, gets around, low to Simpson. Simpson kicks to about half forward, doesn't get far, onto it Barnard, onto him Colbert, and it'll be a ball up. What an extraordinary day. That is the greatest winning margin in that preliminary final of an 84. That was the year the Bombers came from behind a week later and beat Hawthorn in the first of their 2 grand final wins. Kevin Chitty's first year as a premiership coach in 1984. 191 to 67, and they're still irresistible. Mercedes to Wellman.
She could go to Blumfield. Blumfield has run to provide the target, but he ignores that and goes in the direction of Heffernan, who hasn't let him down. Running support provided by Lloyd. Lloyd, oh! Adam! Adam!
Showtime, boys. Showtime.
Oh, dear me. James Hurd coming off. Carousella back on. But that was quite spectacular, wasn't it?
He just goes up and uses the right hand to keep the opponent away and the left hand to drag the ball in.
Is this kid any good?
If there's any justice, he'll kick the goal now. That would just be one of the great pieces of play that you could ever expect to see in a game of football. It's just poetry.
Well, let's see if he can capitalise and kick the goal. Goes back and may have just missed by the look of it. So a little disappointing there for Adam Ramanauskas. His first score is the behind that he kicks here as a result of that spectacular mark. We just saw a little glimpse of James Hurd with the physical fitness person on the boundary line. He just looks as though he's probably trying to keep nice and warm till the end of the game. He might as well put a rug on and leave the arena, you would think. There's only 3 3/4 minutes left. The Kangaroos get the ball up towards the half-forward area, but Alessio has taken his 4th mark, I would say, in this last quarter. And certainly doing well. Johnson across the middle of the ground. Solomon has had a few touches in the last term. Kicks nicely. Oh, Heffernan.
Just needed to take the ball in the hands instead of on the chest. Beautiful pass from Solomon. He drilled it in there.
Couldn't quite take it. There's James Hird. Be looking forward to the next 3 weeks, I'm sure, and hopefully injury-free, because I think you like to see, every AFL football follower likes to see the quality of James Hird being displayed on an arena.
Stevens through the middle, good kick to Motlop, who provided a little spark about an hour and a half ago, I think it was. Up and under, Bombers with numbers, Alessio. Grant chasing, Solomon, gee, he was good. To Long. You'd love the tape of Long today, wouldn't you? He's done some brilliant things. Moorcroft had nowhere to go, runs it along the line and finds it.
And boys, I just can't help but think back to round 21 when the Bulldogs beat the Bombers. Perhaps that was a big wake-up call they needed. Not that they were in bad form, but just the message that, you know, to go where we need to go, we just need to work that little bit harder again.
It's a reasonable point, Ozzy. It probably released a bit of pressure. They wouldn't admit it, I think, but you'd hate to have got to the grand final having won 24 straight, I think. It would have been a pretty big cross to bear on that particular day. It's a free kick to the Kangaroos.
They have got a quality list, haven't they, when we've spoken about the players that have missed out today, in Denham, who's retired, and Robran and Pryor. But Danny Jacobs and a young fellow, I think it's Corey McGrath.
Downfield free kick.
But they just have, it seems like an endless list of players to pick from.
Mark McVeigh's a very promising
Mark McVeigh, yes, yep. Well, that free kick downfield was awarded to Makepeace. His kick in towards half-forward, and Solomon and Fletcher, the tacklers. The ball spills to the back. Bell shrugs the tackle and then unselfishly gives the chance to the 7th goal, kicked by David King. So 7 out of 11 for David King. 11-7 to 30 goals 12. The Kangaroos would love to see that 1 minute 52 tick away very, very quickly.
Jeez, it's an amazing game from David King to come up with 7 goals, in particularly on a day when you've been dominated by the opposition. That is just a lone hand effort.
It's not the grand final. It's not quite what Dermy did in '85, is it, Jason?
No, he was
got his
brilliant.
8
Yeah, he kicked 8
against
then.
the Bombers.
We saw Ablett kick 9 in '89 as well, but it's been a pretty good effort in a pretty dismal performance from the Kangaroos.
I guess the analogy is that you were overwhelmed in '85 in the end, weren't you, by a great team as the Kangaroos has, whereas Ablett got 9 in what was a classic final, wasn't it, when they were steaming home. Well, what's left in the last couple of minutes that hasn't been done before today?
200 points.
Surely nothing can make us surprised anymore. And the free kick to Alessio. Switches it wide to Johnson. This is Jason Johnson. Remember that Mark Johnson is injured. Kicks to about 30 metres. Lloyd being hung on to. Could Dean Wallace do it? Taps it over to Moorcroft. That's fitting. Well done, Dean Wallace. It's a bit like was it Ian Chappell that batted with Barry Richards in that game when Richards got 300 in a day and everyone forgot the Chappell bat. People are going to forget that Moorcroft played today. He's had a pretty good match, hasn't he?
My word, he has. 13 goal kickers, the Bombers. Just 5 for the Kangaroos. Yes, well, Gary Moorcroft, 3 goals. He's had 20 possessions. Again, a good contribution from one of the smaller players. Expected to get goals, and he does on a regular basis. He's kicked 3 out of 31 for Essendon in this game. Hand pass is picked up by Heffernan. Goes forward, down into the last minute. Good mark. I think McCartney has stuck to his guns for the Kangaroos. 16 possessions. Now, what's happened here? 50-metre penalty?
Did a very good job early on Scott Lucas, Jason McCartney.
But, Jason, when you're playing in a key defensive post and the opposition have kicked 31 goals,
and the ball has
it's come down a bit, hasn't it? And it comes down pretty quick.
And just behind this place, a couple of pretty boys standing each other, Dean Wallace and Mickey Martin.
Yes, well, tongue-in-cheek, Bruce there, I'm sure. Out wide, David King. Handball makepeace, smothered off the boot. Now, I'm sure that's the sort of thing that Kevin Sheedy would be looking at. Solomon's smother. Wellman out wide. Barnard. Started on the bench, did Barnard. He's racked up 22 possessions now. He's on centre wing. He'll go short. Lucas just playing around now. Heffernan run down by Clayton, dispossessed, and then Clayton's little kick in towards the middle. The mark is taken by Makepeace. He kicks it in towards half forward. Alone there and taking the mark was Grant. Goes in towards the full forward area. Archer couldn't take it. Fletcher. What do you call him? Mr. Gadget, Bruce. Look at the arms and legs. They're amazing.
Inspector Gadget, right?
Absolutely amazing. This fella's pretty good too. And there it is, folks. One of the greatest exhibitions of Australian football you will ever see on the magnificent stage of the MCG. It has been the Bombers all the way. They kicked 9 goals to 4 in the first quarter, and they won this game comprehensively. 31-12, 198. The Kangaroos 11-7, 73. A day that saw David King kick 7, but Matthew Lloyd kicked 7 to take his personal tally to 101.
I've got to tell you, I think this performance from the Bombers today has sent a shudder through quite a few opposition camps. This has just been unbelievable. Irrepressible they were. They were just unstoppable the way they surged forward. They just continued to run forward into space. They just dominated their opposition and showed no mercy.
Go your hardest, Aussie, with Matty Lloyd.
Well, Matty, I don't know why I want to speak to you, mate. You've just become the man who's kicked 100 goals for the season. Seriously, how'd that feel?
Oh, yeah, it's been the last month. It's sort of dragged out, and everyone's been talking about when you're going to kick it, and didn't expect to kick the 6 today, but the way the side played was just great today.
Has it been a relief? Obviously, you're just saying it has been on your mind, but to get it out of the way before the grand final?
Yeah, lining up for goal for that last kick, I thought I'd better get it now, and the boys were great. They've been a tight unit the last 2 years, and they were wrapped for me, which was great.
How much of a statement is this to everyone out there in the final series? 31 goals, 12 against the reigning premiers.
Yeah, they're a great side, and it's the best we've played for about a month now, so it was just great, and we're in another preliminary final.
You enjoy it, mate.
Thanks a lot.
Week off, well done.
Thanks a lot.
Well done, Aussie. It's the 9th time that Kevin Sheedy has taken a team to the preliminary final. He's had some bitter defeats, none greater than last year. That was the one. They're there again. Nothing is certain in life, but right now this is going to be very hard to beat. I said Bob Beeman, it was almost Marty today. It was almost the perfect 10, wasn't it? It was pretty close. They were as good as you have ever seen, I reckon. 31-12 to 11-7.